Hello.
Pip pip cheerio.
Is it good to start off Mrs. Doubtfiring this?
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like she was a likable British woman played by an American man that was really endearing.
Also very likable.
Yes, absolutely. Very likable. We're talking about the world's princess today.
Mm-hmm.
England had a shot at her. The royals had a shot at her. They let her go. They might or might not have taken her off of this planet. But once they released her, I think she became kind of fair game for the rest of the world.
Oh, she didn't need them. She spread her own wings. This episode is going to take a lot of emotional turns because this thing is the whole Princess Diana, just the story, her life and everything is like crazy, like fascinating how different backgrounds, but like two people as part of the aristocracy can be so different, and how for me, the crash happened when?
August 30th, 1997.
Okay. I'm 12 years old.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it on TV for a long period of time. I remember the camera angle going down the tunnel where you could see like the back of the car, and then you would see like the crumpled up car from like close up and everything. And I knew because of, the news and everything like that, that Princess Diana had been in the crash. I didn't understand that there was like the whole story with her getting into the royal family, getting out of the royal family, all of that stuff. I had no clue about that stuff.
Well, and it was almost like everybody else around you was so sad. Like, I remember
Yes.
all the women in my family were bawling and so sad watching the news and calling each other and talking about it. I didn't really understand. I knew that there was a very attractive woman that they just said had passed away, and she was a princess. Back then I couldn't put together the whole George thing, and it's pretty ironic right now that we're doing a story about the royals, and they're currently going through a bit of an Andrew crisis.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the sad story that we're telling about the royals. They have enough of these sad incidences that happen.
They would have had Charles not fucked up. They would have had much more fuck up credit at this point. And quite frankly, Andrew might not even have been that close to the family at that point. Because at certain
could have
points,
sniffed this one out.
She had sniffed it out a little bit with the kind of person that Andrew was.
Never trust anybody that doesn't sweat or says that they don't sweat.
Mm-hmm. Everybody
That's a
fucking sweats.
Pretty hard rule. Yeah. But as far as Princess Di goes, her life was so much about service. And I really had no idea. I thought that this was the typical fairy tale of a woman coming from nothing and meeting her Prince Charming, when in all actuality, she was a royal, but she was like a single A royal. Mm-hmm. Her family had been around enough, and we'll talk about it in the episode.
She was a lady.
Yeah. I mean, it took some death to make her a lady.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she grew up in a situation where she was never going to have to want or work for anything. All she was going to be was marriage bait for somebody in the aristocracy. Mm-hmm. But what she did was she wanted to go out and experience life. She got a taste of what being a normie was like. And she got a taste of being what a normie was like because her family in her version of the royals and her family, they were all kind of bad people too.
Yeah.
So she went from bad people of means to going and living kind of a fun little life in your late teens, early 20s, to being thrust in the spotlight of being the princess, the queen consort in waiting, basically. Mm-hmm. Her life just never found like a level.
So bad people with means, some fun out in the real world, bad people with the most means.
Yep.
Okay. Well, before we get too far into it, remember everybody, patreon.com/historically high, bonus content there for you, episodes, game shows. It's all fun stuff. Also keep with the comments and everything, keep commenting on socials. This one, someone commented and gave us a list of episode topics. This was already in the works for this, but it also shows that sometimes it just matches up for coincidence, and whoever requested that is now getting an episode on it. But
One of my favorite things about getting some of those comments is when we're actively working on something that's coming out in the next couple weeks.
Do you like it when you get to refer someone back to an episode more?
do.
Or do you like it more when somebody mentions something and it's already something we've already either recorded and it's in the can, or like coincidentally enough, like in this circumstance, we're recording it that week?
Yeah, I like it because I think to myself, we got something for your ass. We got something coming that you were kind of hoping for. But at the same time, it is cool to have somebody have a question about something that we've done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was done back in 2023.
So it's the comparison of we've got something for your ass right now, go back in the catalog, or we got your ass here in the next couple weeks.
Depending on how old the episode is. If we were pretty fresh-faced and green,
then you're almost like, sorry, we already covered that one. Yeah.
A little bit of anxiety about that.
All right, guys. Well, without wait, can you wait any longer? Let's get into The World's Princess. All right. Diana Frances Spencer.
It never ceases to amaze me how these royals work. So she's born July 1st, 1961 to John Spencer, Viscount Althorp, and Frances Spencer, Viscountess Althorp.
Okay. Someone in the UK, just comment on one of these things and just kind of break it down however you can with like the ranking of these like titles and everything. So Viscount is the title, Althorp is the place, right? But it's not Viscount of Althorp. So it sounds fucking weird. Just like Viscount Althorp. And it's like, oh, so you're Duke of that house over there.
Well, a Viscount turns into an Earl. It doesn't just turn into a Count. What are we doing?
So it's like, it's not like Lieutenant Colonel goes to Colonel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we just shorten this up and make it so easy? Or why don't we just strip all these stupid ass titles away from these people and maybe make them work for something in their lives? That's kind of the way that I would go about it. She was the fourth of five. She followed two older sisters. She had one older brother who had passed away within hours. Then there's Diana, then her youngest brother. The Spencer line traces back to the 14th century.
Yeah.
She had family members such as Hugh Despencer, which I'm wondering if it was spelled different and they just chopped off the duh and became Spencer.
It's a huge dispenser.
Hugh, I believe, played a pretty vital role when we were talking about William Wallace.
Really?
He was somewhere in there. I know he was in that first monarchy episode.
So not only those ties, but also, again, they're part of the aristocracy. So her ties to the royal family are that her grandmas were also ladies in waiting to Queen Elizabeth, who was, oh my God, I have the explanation on this. So there is, what is King George and his Queen Elizabeth. King George is the monarch. Yep. Queen Elizabeth, his wife.
Queen consort.
Queen consort. There you go. Thank you.
Which consort just basically means you're a placeholder.
Because you can be king consort.
Yeah.
Okay. Which we're going to get to because George and Elizabeth have Elizabeth, who then marries Philip. So she is Queen Elizabeth, Philip, king consort. Elizabeth, the first one that was married to George, is the queen mother. While she's still alive, you have Queen Elizabeth, and then you have the queen mother. I hope we're all thoroughly confused now. But anyway, so
it's a Royals episode. We're going to get confused eventually.
So her grandmas were ladies in waiting, which are ladies of like a noble station. But you know what they are? They're basically her posse. Like, they're her girlfriends that she runs around with and does like, she's like, you have to like sew me into the corset and do all that kind of stuff. But I just get to sit here and gossip and shit with you guys.
So I don't think there can be a king consort because Prince Philip stayed Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, even after Queen Elizabeth became queen.
So do you think Queen Elizabeth instigated that rule where she's like, nah?
I'm pretty
Ain't
sure.
gonna be no more king consorts here. You're not touching the name king. You can stay a prince and you can be happy about that.
I think there can be queens and queen consorts. There can only be kings. Like you're not going to have a king consort because that almost gives the illusion that the man is in charge.
Okay.
That's the way that I would look at it.
Because they have the title of king somewhere in there. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Again, we run through just this minefield of Elizabeths and Williams and everything like that. We're going to run through her father being John Spencer. The first title, or the title of first Earl Spencer, was created in 1765 for John Spencer. So these names just repeat over and over. Her father, also John Spencer, was the captain of the Royal Scots Greys, who actually landed in France the day after D-Day. Pretty cool. The Greys, while he was captain of the Greys, they did go through and liberate 2 French towns.
Nice.
So this guy's got a little dirt under his nails. He was a World War II veteran. And as the Viscount, the Earl in waiting, basically, he ends up finding his wife, Frances. I believe this is after World War II. It was definitely, because Diane's parents were married June 1st, 1954. Frances was the daughter of the 4th Baron of Fermoy. So we're just...
What are we doing here?
In Fermoy? The hell is Fermoy?
I don't know.
Is it a town? Is it a region?
At some point, was there just a king at some point back? And yes, I know we still have to do the second Monarchs episode.
And
honestly, this episode is just going to make us have to wait longer because we have to talk about it. But anyway, was there a king at somewhere along the line that he was just like, people were just hassling him. They're like, what about this? What about, and he's just like, I'm just going to start handing out fucking titles to get people off my back. Someone comes in, they're like, I really think I should be ruling over this section. And he's like, fantastic. You are the Earl of this. And he's like, really? And he's like, yeah, I'll write it on a piece of paper. Someone else comes in and says, well, I want to rule over this. And he's like, you're the Duke of this. And he just starts making shit up.
I think really what it comes down to is it was kind of a quid pro quo situation because the Spencer family were just wealthy sheep farmers when they became first Baron.
Okay.
So what it is probably was somebody that could throw their support behind a king, and in doing so with their monetary donations, they were then gifted the role of the title of Baron.
I feel like there's 2 things going on here. I feel like there's titles, like if you own land, like Baron, because you always think about that, like barony. And then titles for like people related to the royal line. To like even classify them even more.
And probably also there's a mix of wanting to keep people who have been loyal to the royal family close.
Yeah.
And make sure that they don't have
What do you mean
jobs.
You turn on me? Dude, I made you Duke.
Yeah. I supported you this whole time. And in this support, this part kind of amazed me. She was born in a place called Park House on Sandringham Estate.
In Norfolk.
Sandringham Estate was just leased from the royal family to the Spencers.
So the house, the way I kind of understand it, the house itself was Park House, which was a house,
a huge house,
the Sandringham Estate, which had its own big fucking royal house. And then they just simply leased it because it's on the estate, so it's owned by the royals. And
you're a baron, so you don't have a job, so you need a place to live, so you can just go live in the Queen's pool house.
Talking about this whole thing, and I know we're already getting off topic, but hey, strap in, you know what you signed up for.
Unless it's your first time.
Welcome. The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie movie, and then also the series on Netflix. So that's all about getting in with these dukes or lords or people that have titles that just have these castles and these big estate homes, but they're cash poor. How many of these places are there all around, like London or like England and everything, that are just like, that's a big fucking house. They're like, yeah, that's been around forever. It belongs to this person. He's a farmer now.
Yeah, we don't pay for it. We don't really work, so we don't really go out and do much, but we do have this house and this title. Mm-hmm. And our clothes are fairly nice because they were passed down from our parents who had a little more money than we did, but still not a lot of money, but we still kept the
taxes
title.
Are bleeding us dry. Yeah. So we've opened this grow operation underneath one of our fields.
We're getting a season 2. I wonder when it's coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So this relationship is kind of interesting between the King's family or the Queen's family and then the Spencers because they did end up spending time together. As Chris pointed out, both of Diana's grandmothers were ladies in waiting for Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. The desire for this male heir strained her parents' marriage so damn bad. That was like the number one thing that John Spencer needed was he needed another little baron. This wasn't a situation where if you did have a daughter as queen or king, she would then have a chance to become queen. Mm-hmm. You weren't really going to baroness yourself into keeping this title because they're going to have to marry somebody eventually, and that will be the baron.
Yeah.
So really what it comes down to is they had two daughters. They finally had their heir when they had the third child. He lived for a matter of days, and the intensity gets ratcheted up that Diana is born into. Thank God it took one more try after Diana to finally get the son.
Well, and this is also going to go kind of show this guy was not what you would consider a loving father.
No.
I mean, I don't know if I want to say in his way or whatever, but no, just from all metrics, not really. So once this is happening, he sends, thinking there's something wrong with Francis, he's like, you need to go to this clinic in London and find out what this problem is. What's the cause of this problem? Guess what? Sometimes you have all girls.
Well, it's really John's fault because he's not using his boy nut to impregnate his wife. Ultimately, it comes down to the chromosomes being handed off by the man. And he was using his girl nut pretty much every single time.
You're simplifying this in a way that
I'm pretty convinced. I'm not a scientist, but I think that there's a reason we got two of them. I'm not sure why, but I think that could be it.
Just lost so many people listening right now. I thought this was about Princess Diana.
Well, it is.
It is.
Because you have to be able to find this. I believe her younger brother is also named George. So just to throw another little wrench into this whole name thing.
Didn't she have the last name, or she had the nickname Dutch, right? Because they said, like, as a child, she acted like Little Duchess.
I think so.
Which is a pretty cool, like, Dutch.
Yeah. An interesting tie-in to the royal family here. Diana actually called the queen Aunt Lilibet when she was a child. So they knew each other.
It was like the winter home. I think Sandringham was like one of the winter homes.
It was something for the royals. Diana spends her early childhood playing with Princes Andrew and Edward because those are the two that are close to her age. And thank God she stayed away from Prince Andrew. Because, well, they were the same age, so she was too old for him. But Diana suffers this major blow in her life when she's 6 or 7. Her parents divorce. And when her parents divorce, this separation gets very, very nasty. Her mother moves to London and takes the kids with her. She turns out to be the one that had to break down and stepped out on John. I'm not going to really blame her after he sent her to the whole fertility doctor to be like, hey, why can't you have a boy? This is all on you.
What's wrong with your vagina? It won't make boys.
Exactly. So I could see her being a little in distress when making these decisions. Also, kind of towards the end of her life, it seems like she's very much a chatty Cathy when it comes to Diana's personal business. I don't really like that. Apparently, she moves off to this island in Scotland and ends up marrying a guy. Doesn't really factor much into the
Tries
story.
to use Diana's clout a little bit to advance her.
Yeah, she kind of took off on the family, and this Diana talking about this says that she remembers the rocks underneath the tires as her mother pulled away as she just didn't love her anymore. She didn't do enough to keep her around.
So, and again, this is from the perception also of her, as a 6 or 7-year-old and everything. Basically, because of the title of the father and kind of the power residing with him, he was able to get full custody. Also, I think had support from her mom to do this, but of course,
if she cheated, the court's going to side with John.
Exactly. And at the same time, if she's like, oh, my son-in-law is the one that has, like, he's the one that has the title and everything, yeah, maybe that's kind of what prompts her to do that. So he ends up getting full custody, which in Diana's eyes looks like kind of abandonment, because the father's not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm just not letting you see your mom. He's trying to basically make sure that these kids are, he's ingratiated with these kids. So much so, he wants to do that so much that instead of telling them that he's in a relationship, that he's looking to go ahead and get remarried, introducing them to this woman, seeing how they all get along, he just kind of secretly gets married to this woman. Her name is Raine, Raine. She was the Countess of Dartmouth.
Do you have her original last name?
No.
I might have to look. It's so fucking funny. It's like Hanabedabed or something like that.
That's why you just go by Raine, Countess of Dartmouth.
Yeah, the goofiest thing ever.
So he basically marries her, and then is all of a sudden she's at the house and Diana's there, and he's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, by the way, this is your stepmom. She's moving in."
Well, it turns out that the Viscount was a pretty absent father. There's a couple documentaries where they actually do interview the nannies that were in the house, and they said it. Diana's admitted herself she was a naughty kid. Her and little Georgie
She's cheeky.
they used to lock some of the nannies in the bathroom. Somehow the lock was on the outside, that's got to be some weird English
That's
shit.
where you just have to have a key.
Yeah.
And so she had the key, locked them. There was no key to open it from the inside.
They were pretty bad to a lot of these women that were taking care of
My
them.
lord, they locked us in the water closet again. Diana?
It's just one of those things where you see all of this bad thing or all this bad stuff that's going on in her childhood, but then you also see these little glimmers of hope. I'm sure she wasn't doing it because she was just trying to have fun. She probably didn't like these women, but at the same time, there's still a little bit of cheekiness to her.
You want fucking attention.
Yeah. She wasn't getting it, which is terrible because her early schooling comes at home. I can't imagine homeschooling from nannies was going really well. She ends up moving to Silfield private school. She later ends up attending an all-girls boarding school. Riddlesworth Hollitage. Riddlesworth Hall at age 9. 1973, she moves to West Heath Girls' School, which is nice because now at least she's at school with her older sisters. Mm-hmm. Now she at least has somebody there that she knows.
At the same time, this also kind of gives you a peek behind the fact that, like, not only when she's home is the dad not locked in, he doesn't even have to be locked in
for 4 kids.
That much of the time. They're at boarding school.
Yeah.
They're staying there. This is like Hogwarts.
Which I'm sure was probably pretty rough, not being able to have your other 2 sisters there for you.
Yeah.
Because they're off at school. I'm sure they were probably pretty pumped that they were at school. She wasn't the best student, which, again, there's so many kinds of intelligence. I'm not putting this as a mark against her. She excelled in swimming and dance. She loved being outside. She loved animals. Diana would end up failing her O-levels, which were basically like her general certificate of education. So like a GED, basically a high school diploma. She ends up failing them twice. She ends up leaving school at 16, but she leaves school somebody who is in love with the piano. She's a great tap dancer. She's a great ballet dancer. She's a pretty good swimmer and a diver. She was really, really shy, but you could kind of see that there was this blossoming social intelligence. Like she had something to where she could turn on the charm and be emotionally intelligent enough to show the right people that she was.
I think that's endearing. What it was. The 2 things she excelled at were both, like you said, social intelligence and emotional intelligence. Like just the fact that she could just read a fucking room.
But if you're really putting social intelligence and emotional intelligence up against the royal family, it doesn't take much. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty low bar. So she exceeded
We have our books. Yeah. We know things.
She exceeded this by leaps and bounds.
So 1975, John, he inherits the title Earl Spencer. So he's still John Earl Spencer. I don't know how that's a serial killer name, right? John Earl Spencer.
Isn't it Earl John Spencer?
Earl John Spencer. I don't know. They moved to Althorpe. So Viscount Althorpe is basically, now that he has that full title, or now that he's Earl Spencer, Althorpe is the ancestral seat, I guess, of that. This is some Game of Thrones shit, is what it is.
It's the manor.
And because he now has the title of Earl, all of his sons and daughters are able to have the title of Lord or Lady. So now she is Lady Diana Spencer.
apparently she was at school when she found out this news.
What is that like? So he's like,
not
hey,
even call
dad
kids
calls you
home.
on the phone. Hey, so, yeah, grandpa's dead. So you're lords and ladies now. How did you become a lady? My grandpa died. Like, that's what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because of her relationship with her stepmother and just her dad being an all-around John Spencer, she begins to do some volunteer work in Kent. She's working at a psych hospital. She's nannying in Hampshire for a little bit. She's actually going out, and she's not working because she has to. There's no reason for her to work. She's working because she just cares about life experience. She'll end up spending one term, it was like 3 months, in Switzerland at this finishing school, and then she returns to London in 1978. So she's still, by all accounts, I don't know how it works in London or in England, I guess in Europe in general. We've always kind of gone by you're just 18 and an adult.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the line's close to there, but at the same time, her return into London, her mother gifts her an apartment at like age 17.
Well, yeah. So jumping back 1 year, so 1977, it's not significant in what happens in the moment, but it's what sets essentially the kind of the board here. Diana meets Charles for the first time in 1977. She's 16. He's 29. That's going to be something that I'm probably going to point out a lot during this. So she's 16, he's 29. They're at, I want to say it's Sandringham or something. So the Royals are there vacationing.
I think they're probably there at Althorpe because they were invited for a fox hunt.
That's right. And then also at this time as well, her sister Sarah, who's 22, is dating Charles. So
7 years, a little questionable. He's eyeing down a 16-year-old as a 29-year-old. I got more questions.
he's like, we went in and I told her about the paintings and stuff like that. And then her sister got upset because he thought I was fancying her. It's like, you had just been on your way to walk out and fox hunt and you saw this 16-year-old hanging around. You're just like, hey, want to go look at the paintings?
I'll explain the paintings to you. Feels a little creepy.
So meets him. But again, that nothing happens there. She's dating, he's dating her sister.
Well, just regular Diana. She's cleaning her sister's apartment in London just for a little bit of money. Like, she's cleaning. She's nannying for this American couple. I believe their name was the Robertsons, in London, who were just there working in London. She's a dance instructor. She's a primary teacher. She's out there with the normal people of society doing all of these things. And then she just goes back to spend a weekend at the family estate for a fox hunt.
Yeah.
She's got her feet in both worlds, and it's something that I don't think a lot of royals get to experience.
It's going to come into play, later in the story and everything, but everything that she's doing is like around like kids and everything, like the nannying and the school and everything like that. You can already kind of see, and of course, hindsight and everything, going back, doing interviews with her friends and her family and everything, people are able to kind of piece together, or at least try to guess at what psychological impacts things had on people. And that's one of the things I like digging in on this podcast, is trying to kind of put yourself in their shoes and where their mindset might be at based upon previous experiences in their lives. She felt like she didn't have a family when she was growing up. The way that I feel like she wanted to get past that, or what was going to make her feel whole, is to have a family, to create a family, and that she knew that she could do that. She just needed to be presented the opportunity to do that. And so she's working with these kids, and I'm guessing at that point, working with the kids, being a nanny and everything, that for her is just being reinforced, that this is how she's going to create, like, this is what she wants to do, is to create this family.
I also think that that's probably how she preferred to spend her time.
Yeah.
Kids
aren't pricks. All the people I hang around with in the aristocracy are assholes.
Yeah, these kids aren't old enough to disappoint me yet. So I can love being around them and be able to, because she had a lot of love to give, I think.
At least when one of these kids throws something at somebody, like they give them juice and they throw the juice, it's just because they're being a kid. I've seen grown people throw their cup back at a servant or something because it wasn't the right temperature. She's like, yeah, I'll at least take the kid doing it because they don't know better.
least this kid apologizes when he shits his pants. My dad does not. It blows me away how fast this comes into play, because I believe it was around 1971. Now, this wasn't the easiest information to find. 1971, Charles ends up taking up with this woman named Camilla Shand. And Camilla Shand will become Camilla Parker Bowles because she ends up marrying a man named Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973 after about a 6-month relationship with George that pretty much ends because Camilla had already taken up with Andrew for a while before they were dating.
Wait, you said George, then you said Andrew.
Yeah, so Andrew she dated, then she dated George, and then she married Andrew.
Where's Charles come into play on this?
I meant to say Charles instead of George.
Okay, so...
That was my screw-up.
Okay. Reset. Lay it out for me.
1971, Charles and Camilla end up becoming an item.
Okay.
They run together for about 6 months. She's got a lot of strikes against her because Camilla has already had a longer-term relationship with a man. And in 1971, I believe that would make Diana like 10 years old. So Camilla would end up being, 2 years older than Charles?
She was 2 years older than Charles. And again, this is going to be playing back to the protocols of the royals in that one does not marry someone who has been ran through it. That's what they considered Camilla. And we are not Team Camilla here.
No.
Or anything like that. But this is basically Charles being like, hey, I like this chick, I'm dating her, and the royals and the rest of the royal family being like, yeah, she is not a virgin, and she's not of a high enough caliber in society for you to marry. And he's just like, but I like it because she chokes me, or something like that. I feel like there has to be some type of dom sub situation in the way that he always goes back to Camilla, or is willing to risk it despite having everything for Camilla, that even her being a couple years older and him having such this weird little sheltered royal life that she was like, I'll show you a finger in the ass. And from that moment, Charles was just like, I'm yours.
Well,
and they took away Charles' toy and they took away his finger. And he was just like, what do you want from me? And they're like, you need to marry a good virginal girl who can start giving you heirs.
and wouldn't be considered handsome. Like Camilla. Camilla was a handsome woman.
He's like, but she rides horses like me.
She's just an interesting bad character throughout this whole entire thing. Wildly enough, this is just how royal society works. So during this courtship time of Charles going after Diana, they only probably meet about 13 times before they're married.
So they meet again in 1980, right?
Yeah.
So 1980, they meet again at a party during the summer. She's 19. He is now 32. I'm just comparing this to the parlance of our time, man.
Yeah.
But if a 32-year-old shows up at a party where let's just say even on the younger side, 19 is kind of the age and everything, that means what? It's 24-year-old. 24 would probably be the max people at that party or should be. You're the 30. Yeah. It's the guy that graduated many years ago showing up to the high school party.
I would say high school rules apply. You get like a 4-year age gap is probably pretty acceptable. Mm-hmm. Not 29. Not 4 years removed from college.
Yeah. So Charles is cruising this party, and he locks eyes. He sees Diana. He's like, "Hey, weren't you that 16-year-old I knew?" And she's like, "Yeah,
the painting guy."
Yeah,
the painting guy.
Picasso.
The guy that's going to be king someday.
But he's a fucking prince.
Yeah.
And they are in a country in which, for us, it's just like, even that we can understand and say he's a prince. We see the appeal in that. But to live in that society where that's the epitome. You'd be a princess. That instant pull, or that type of, I don't want to say aura, but I can't think of another word, that person has to just exude, regardless of the weird fucking ears and the face and everything like that. And he's just like, hello. She's like, oh my God.
The best thing that Charles had going for him was every children's book author before his time writing stories about girls meeting princes.
Mm-hmm.
That was all he had going for him. Because he wasn't handsome. He didn't seem to be.
These girls had been
funny.
programmed for centuries that the prince was the pinnacle.
I don't even think it's that he's the king in waiting. I just think that you tag Prince on a guy and he's going to be that much more appealing.
When there is a story that's like this, it's never someone marrying the king. Because at that point, you're just like, well, if the king's like 40, that's weird. I can't relate to the king trying to marry some 30 or 35-year-old. Little girls are like, when I'm 17 or I'm 18 or I'm 19, a prince will come and then we'll be king and queen together. Like that's the dream. That's the sales pitch that they all bought into.
And it's pushed for a reason. I mean, it's a very magical thing. Could you imagine in your younger days if you met like the Princess of Monaco or some shit like that? There would be a little pull for you to be more interested in that situation.
She's like, you're funny. I'm just like, oh, shut up. You're dumb. Stop.
We're talking about a foreign princess.
Yeah.
This guy was the prince of your country.
I know.
The appeal is there just in name only. And he had to have that because Diana, for being a 19-year-old, she was an attractive girl. Mm-hmm. She's an attractive young lady that probably could have had any of her suitors. We talked about this. You asked me this in the lead up. If there was ever any guy that met Diana that didn't really feel something for her, I'd be pretty hard pressed to guess anybody that wasn't kind of enchanted just sitting there watching her, talking to her, listening to her. She had I think aura. I hate the way kids use the word now, but I think you're right. She had an aura about her.
The way that she was living her life and kind of experiencing the social scene and living in the apartment with her friends and everything like that, I feel like there was certain circumstances in which the dating and marriage thing was going to be, I kind of feel like a no-brainer. Had it been John Smith that worked down at the bank asking her out on a date, she might have been like, I'm kind of liking the single thing and just, I'm working a couple jobs and that's not really what I'm looking for right now.
I'm 19.
But you put a prince in front of her that meets her and is like, well, hello, and invites her on his yacht, the Britannia, down to the Isle of Wight very quickly after this meeting and this interaction. After that, invites her to Balmoral Castle in Scotland, which is the royals, family home in Scotland, to meet the family, which is basically an interview, right?
She was invited by the Queen.
Correct. But at the same time, because Charles is coming back and they're like, what say you, Charles? Answer the questions. Is she a virgin? He's like, yes, I believe she is. Does she come from noble stock? And he's like, I believe she does. You must court her, Charles. Bring her before us and we will judge.
What is her name?
That's what the Queen sounds like.
Her name is Diana Spencer. You mean that little girl that used to call me Queen or Aunt Lilibet? Mm-hmm. You're going to marry a girl who used to call me Aunt?
Yeah.
Again, the royal family, not too weird.
Yeah.
I do believe at some point in the Spencer line, there's Habsburg blood. I didn't get deep enough into it.
In every line there's Habsburg blood.
But we've seen what those gargoyles look like that have that blood in them now with the chin and the nose.
Yeah, Di avoided that.
Somehow.
Yes. So she gets the thumbs up during the visit/interview process up in Scotland. And it does not take long because Charles decides to pop the question February 6th, 1981. Now, coincidentally enough, the engagement's not announced until February 24th. I have a theory about this. And we talked about this a little bit before. It's quick,
theory?
man.
Hit me with it.
Okay. 9 months later after they meet at this party. That's quick. She's got a decent head on her shoulders and everything. From the interviews with her friends and everything, the way, she's a girl. She goes and talks to her friend. She's like, he just fucking, I think he's going to propose. At a certain point when they were going through this courting process, she was the nanny for that American couple.
Yep.
And she had mentioned to them, hey, just let you know, there might be some photographers down at the, end of the block and everything. She's like, what is going on? Like, are you in trouble? She's like, no, I was up in Balmoral this last weekend. She's like the royal. And she's like, yeah, I've been kind of hanging out with Prince Charles. And she's like, so do you think that this is like, he's interested, like marriage, like a relationship? And she's like, I don't think so. I mean, he's like 32 and everything. I don't think he takes me seriously or anything. But lo and behold, again, 9 months after this meeting, he ends up proposing. She could just say no. I think she probably did have some doubts about the age, about the quickness of it, everything. But again, that prince thing looms so large. And again, she's looking for, I think, a family.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is going to be like the ultimate family. I'm going to be part of the family.
And who's the one family that's the least likely to get a divorce in all of England?
Yeah. Here's the other thing, too, I was thinking about. Once she gets inside and she can kind of see how everyone acts when they're not in the public-facing eye, looking at it from her perspective before she could see that, when they were up there at Balmoral, that's probably like, hey, put on a show. We're all a happy family. We all get along and all this kind of stuff. When it's just like inside, like they're very not involved in each other's lives. They're all having to split these duties and do all this kind of stuff where it seems like a very cold, almost like just very casual relationships, all tied together by just this commonality of title. So for her, I think she still has this view of the royal family of like, every time I see them in the tabloids or every time I see them in the paper on TV or they're out for a public appearance, they're all just like, they look like they're such a happy family. Because she's just seeing that frontward facing appearance.
I think that she probably has a pretty good understanding of, I guess one of the nicknames of the royal family is the firm.
Yeah. She was also around them a lot, I guess, is kind of, that's kind of counter to that. She's also, but I still think that if you're around other people, you're trying to curate a little bit.
I do think that there is a lot of time too, that when they're in Buckingham Palace and when this is like work mode, they're just so isolated from each other, living in apartments inside of Buckingham Palace under the same roof, but they all just have lives that they really can't be bothered to get into somebody else's business.
Constantly having to travel around to like all of our colonial holdings and such.
When you get a chance to go off to the Winter Chalet or Balmoral, you finally have a chance to like talk shop with each other.
So you're going to look more sociable.
I think the distance that they spend apart from each other, ironically under one roof together, kind of helps that atmosphere when they were to get away, because we're going to talk a lot about this royal family and talk about them as robots and just unfeeling, uncaring people, because that's just the vibe we pick up from them. I'm not saying that they're all bad people that don't talk to each other. I'm sure that there is some sort of conversation that goes on. I just don't think they've ever hugged each other.
I feel like there's a user's manual for how you have to like raise the kids and act. And nowhere in that user's manual does it ever take affection or ever say the word affection or emotion or anything like that. It's just like you're operating on like I said, a protocol.
Affection is crossed out and it just says handshake above it.
Yeah. So I have so anyway, my theory about this is that they don't announce this thing until February 24th, which also gives her time, because she said yes, to kind of get her affairs in order, do all this kind of stuff. But I also think that maybe you do that because they're like, let's give her like a week of kind of going through the motions of seeing what this is going to involve, to see if she is like, no, I kind of actually changed my mind. So that way we don't have to then retract the royal engagement announcement.
Like there was a lemon law. Like you
give her a grace period to really understand what she just agreed to before we go saying that she did actually officially say yes. That probably happened on the 23rd. They're like, okay, we're revisiting this. Charles, yeah, you want to marry her? Okay.
I also wonder, and this could just be something stupid, because he proposes February 6th, right? Mm-hmm. If it comes out on the 24th, I wonder if that puts it closer to like Ash Wednesday, possibly around kind of the Easter sort of holiday time, maybe. to be like,
There is a strategy to
yeah,
it.
there was something
What it
about
is,
it.
I'm not sure.
Which, funny enough, the Lady Robertson, the American couple that she was nannying for, she would tell stories about how, like, Diana would show up to work, as you were talking about. It was the same lady that she had to let her know about the cameraman and everything. And she said that she was getting ready for work, and Diana's like, hey, I got to talk to you about something. She's like, okay, that's fine. Go sit on the bed. I got to finish blow drying my hair. And Diana's like, no, I need your full attention.
Right here. You're looking right here.
And then she drops the news about all of the photographers down the street Chris was talking about. But it shows that she has like this trust and almost this vulnerability with people that she gets close to where she wants to tell them these things, not only for her safety and for her children's safety, but just for the fact of like, I got to get this off my chest. I got to talk about this. And going through the whole proposal and everything like that, I imagine she sat there for 2.5 weeks and she's like, I just said yes to the prince. I'm going to be queen. Can I talk about this? And they're like, no, you have to wait. You have to be the second person to tell these people.
You need to sit here and think for these 2 weeks and make sure this is something that you're in for.
She signs up for it. I mean, she's in. She actually said that she thought that Charles was joking. That Charles was joking when she asked her, which I think we'll come to realize he might have been.
And it was cool being able to watch. It was cool being able to do a topic where we get to watch footage of somebody to try to get a feel for him and everything. And from the time that they're dating, there's a certain point within the dating relationship where she goes with him to like a polo match or something like that. And basically that's kind of the coming out moment for him introducing his girlfriend to the world or allowing her to be seen. She's wearing a necklace that says D.
I believe he was playing in the match and they were going to meet up afterwards.
Okay.
So she was going to watch his match.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Watch him hot dick it out there.
Oh, he loved his fucking polo. And so she ends up getting photographed and she does this like cool, she knows that the photographer's there. So as he's walking up, she's having a conversation and she just looks right at him and does like a little pose and he snaps it and she just goes right back to her conversation.
She gave him something.
Yeah.
She gave him a breadcrumb.
And so this ends up making like the front page, of course. Everyone's going crazy. Who is this woman? And at that point, she's trying to still continue to live her life because, again, this is just them dating. So as she's walking to her car, there's paparazzi, there's people from newspapers. Diana, do you think he's going to propose to you? All this stuff. And she's walking along with them. There are moments where the guy that's following, walking backwards with the camera, she's trying to keep him from like running into a post. She's like, oh, and she thinks, and then she accidentally bumps into somebody and she turns around. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Just some rando on the street that she apologizes to.
And so she's getting in her car and they're like, she's like, I'm not going to talk about anything. And you could tell she's not used to the attention. Ew. She's shy, but at the same time, she's just like, no, I need to get to work, everybody. Like I need to go.
She's very aware. She certainly wasn't aware of the royal protocol that we've been talking about because Diana selects her own engagement ring. And this becomes a pretty big issue for the royals because you have the royal jeweler. And the royal jeweler is expected to make the engagement rings for the couples. This chick is about to be queen eventually. And she just goes to a jewelry store and picks out her own engagement ring.
I mean, it's like, fucking fat.
It is. It's awesome. But the fact that that's something that anybody with any amount of money that has the amount of money to purchase it can have the same engagement ring as the future queen.
Yeah, that's true.
They wanted the jeweler to make everything custom for these people because they're one of ones. It's the family
you
jewels.
know that they went to that jewelry store and they're like, who designed this? You were never to make that design again.
Yeah, probably. They went to K Jewelers. They went to Fred Meyer Jewelers.
Yeah. One of the coolest things about her time within kind of the royal sphere is seeing her kind of just buck the traditions and everything in the same way that like fast forward into the future, like Kate Middleton is someone that wasn't part of the aristocracy or anything like that. But you've seen inspirations for how she acts and everything like that. They're inspired by Diana. Same thing for like Meghan Markle and everything. Diana kind of walked so these women could run in the sense of this, but it's kind of cool how when she gets into it, her little breaches of protocol about what the royals usually do are just these little subtle jabs, but they're so well received by the public and everything because they're humanizing the royals that they can't say shit about it.
Thank God somebody with a pulse is in there. And also, the craziest thing, will you look up the royal's real last name?
Windsor.
No.
It's not?
They have a Germanic last name.
Oh, man.
So the people in London are learning more and more about Diana. They're learning that.
Okay, so it's Mountbatten Windsor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mountbatten, I believe, was their first name. They're like, we need to make this more English, so let's just go Windsor.
We got to anglicize this a bit.
Yeah. The people of England are looking at somebody who's born and bred in England. And they're looking at her thinking, she's going to make the royal family more English.
That's true. Okay, so it was even more German than that. So House Windsor, King George V replaced the German name Saxe-Coburg-Gotha with Windsor. I mean, shorten that shit up, which remains the name of the royal house.
That's what I'm saying. These people weren't natives. They were Germanic people that were the kings and queens of England. And we're bringing in Princess Diana, who's a baroness, or I guess a lady, that dates back from a family all the way to the 15th century. She's as English as it gets. She's actually going to make these kids more English when she has the heir. So she has that going for her.
And maybe those genes will fight against these fucking Windsor genes.
It turns out that the incestuous tree is the German tree now.
The only reason William and Harry are decent looking is 100% Diana's genes.
Yeah, there's some Mountbatten or Saxe-Covina or whatever they were that gave them the hair pattern that William has.
Harry's got a fucking gorgeous head of hair.
William, not so much.
No, William.
William takes after his father.
I feel William's pain. I can. That's my biggest thing I can relate to with William.
Shit sucks for Diana pretty quickly after this because she ends up moving to one of the other royal estates and then ends up moving into Buckingham Palace, obviously not with Charles, but she's living in one of these apartments.
She lives in the Queen Mother's residence. So it's not just like they have like apartments in their own rooms. It's like wings of this place that are set aside. So she's having to stay. It's not like she stayed in the same room with the Queen Mother. And I'm not even sure if the Queen Mother was still around at this time because I think she watched Charles and Diana get married. But she's not just like hanging out. There's like first floor, second floor of like different places. She's just like off in one of the apartments and it's lonely in this place.
They show up to breakfast one morning and Charles like, "Oh, my love, how did you sleep last night?" And Diana's just sitting there staring into her bowl of cereal. She goes, "I saw your grandmother naked last night. I just want to eat my cereal."
Yeah. I've lost my appetite.
So
I've seen so much of the Queen Mother.
They hang so low. She gets thrust into this world where just because Charles is engaged, just because they're fiancé, which I have to assume there's some dumb British version of fiancé, he still has these engagements that he has to go to. He's traveling around, and it's not like she's coming with him. So she ends up basically just stranded in Buckingham Palace with all of these future family members that don't really give a shit that she's there. She's just signed in to be a part of the family. They said that there was a little bit of humility kind of shown to her from Philip, because Philip also had to understand the coming into this family.
Yeah.
That was probably a pretty heavy experience. I also think that Elizabeth's dad, the king, wasn't
It's like the council of in-laws. When you get a big enough family, all of the in-laws at a certain point kind of form their own thing where they can all associate and be like, this family's fucking crazy, right?
And Philip
is just like, welcome.
Philip's like, hey, you lucked out. They're not worried about you overshining Charles. I was told I was never going to be given the name king.
Do you smoke? No? You're gonna.
They're out on the back porch. They're out on the lanai.
it's between this time that, and of course Diana and Charles are doing interviews and all that kind of stuff. There's this one interview that they do where they're interviewing them both. Diana's like being shy. You can see she's looking down at everything. This is all insanely new for her. And they're asking a question and she's like, "Are you in love?" And Diana's like, "Of course." And then she the interviewer turns to George and she's like, "And what about you?" And he's like, whatever in love means." And you're just like, dude, you can't just be like, yes, of course, hell yeah, fucking right. Any of those would have been better than saying that.
Oh, it's like I told you, I'm no stranger to not being comfortably replying.
But you know that's not
the
thing to say.
I saw immediately, as soon as I heard that, I just kind of cringed because I knew that just was the worst. No almost would have been a better response. Because at least no, you're being honest.
Yeah.
This was just a bad lie.
And this is the thing, too. When they were dating, Philip had told Charles, he's like, "So what are you thinking? Because you either need to propose to this girl or you need to move on and find someone else, because someone needs to fulfill a role." And that's one thing I heard repeated a lot during either the podcast, documentaries, things like that, is that when Charles married her, he was filling a role. He needed the role of the partner, not a lover, someone that could bear his children, to help him fulfill the responsibilities of creating an heir, and then someone to raise those children, and someone to be there for photo ops that could look good and everything like that. Diana married for love. So there is a very, opposite type reasoning here for why they're getting married. And I mean, I even think at this point, it was during their engagement before they got married, because there's a long period of time between the proposal, the February 6th proposal, and then also June 20 or July 29th, which is the wedding. So
I gotta feel that's not very far.
It doesn't, but at the same time, you're living with the Queen Mother.
Yeah, no, every day is a struggle. Every day is a week for her.
The only thing that probably kept her sane is the fact that she was picking out wedding stuff for what would become the wedding of the century. There hasn't been one that would ever get close to rivaling it.
I think Williams probably did.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I didn't look at the comparison, so that's how hard it is for me to believe.
It's one of those things where it feels like every time this happens, it's almost been such a long time. Like, the next royal wedding that we have isn't going to take place for probably 20 years. So there's a big enough gap in between them.
Georgie, I think, is the Williams kid's name.
You know more than me, buddy. I don't even know the kids' names.
Fuck, I just had Harry's. Archie is Harry's.
Okay.
Getting way away from the royal line.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm Harry. This is Archie."
Archibald had to have been somewhere in there.
I fucking love that name, Archibald. Yeah. So as she's picking out stuff for the wedding and everything, she's still going out and trying to kind of at least have some semblance of a life, like going out with her friends or even meeting her sisters or having people come in, because I'm guessing security was pretty tight. And she's talking to her sisters too. She's like, "I don't know about all this." And her sisters were like, "Kind of late to back out now. I mean, your face is already all over the tea towels."
Didn't they have that discussion after she found the bracelet?
I believe so.
Yeah, so as Lady Diana was looking through, I don't remember what she was looking for. She ends up running across a bracelet that definitely isn't for her, that Charles has had made special with the pet names that Charles and Camilla used for each other.
Charles is wearing it. It's one that Charles wears, I believe.
I thought that was the cufflinks. He was sending the bracelet to Camilla.
I want to say it might have been also one that they'd gotten together. I'll look it up.
Okay. So she's finding these little love trinkets from Camilla in her husband's possession, which isn't always the best look when you're getting ready to marry somebody. It's, in fact, a real red flag, I would assume. But she also runs into these situations where her first public appearance with Charles is at this charity ball.
You're right. It was intended for her. It had the G and the F for Gladys and Fred, which were their fucking pet names for each other. But she found it in an office drawer.
We'll talk about some of their other interactions besides Gladys and Fred that get pretty weird.
Maybe those are the names they used when they were role playing.
When they were making their genitals talk to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was their sex organ names. I would like to hang out with Gladys tonight.
Well, if it isn't Fred, you old so-and-so.
So they go out to this charity ball, and Diana is smoking. She is in this strapless black dress. Just the cannons are right below the surface of the water.
And this is, again, her bucking protocol already, because black was not supposed to be worn for these events unless it was a funeral or something like a mourning or a wake or something like that.
Which is insane because black's awesome.
I know. So she's already, and Charles is just kind of like, as he should be, because again, they're getting ready to get married. There is some excitement to that. And he's got to be just like, fucking look at this.
Yeah. Who's going to say no to this?
Yeah.
The top line of her dress looks like there's two of my heads sitting right there. I mean, she looked incredible. And she has to deal with this, oh, your dress is too short. It reveals too much shoulder. Oh, it's black. We can't do all of that kind of stuff. She's 19 years old.
Yeah.
Nobody read her the playbook. You're telling me if you're so concerned about
I gotta
the image,
wear full sleeves and shit like the Queen Mother.
It's Victorian age.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to pass off. And part of the reason they're trying to do this is because she needs to look like a virginal woman. Mm-hmm. And lady in a black dress doesn't always look like that. So I'm assuming that's probably why they were a little bit shocked by this.
People fucking love it.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, she also gets to make like her only real royal friend. It was this woman named Princess Grace of Monaco. And she was like this American debutante that ended up being married off to the Prince of Monaco. So somebody who's definitely gone to another country and had to live by these royal standards, it's like, why? What? No, I don't want to do this. So she's telling Princess Grace about her whole experience with this dress. And Princess Grace is laughing. She's like, strap in, it ain't over. It's going to get worse. Like, if that's all they're mad at you about, you're doing pretty good. So she has to see kind of like, man, this is what I'm signing up for. I got a husband who's giving his ex-girlfriend a bracelet. I can't even go out in a dress that is very flattering to all of my features and everybody seems to love.
Yeah.
I have to really play this by ear. And she runs out of time because January 29th, 1981, these numbers are kind of incalculable to me. I don't get it. 750 million people worldwide tuned in to watch a 20-year-old Diana marry a 32-year-old.
600,000 people line the streets. This is when she comes out, she's in like a full-on Cinderella style carriage that's like the glass and everything like that.
The whole thing, I got it for a second. It's the only wedding that I would ever care to watch. Pretty cool.
You have to watch it from the standpoint of how we got to watch it on TV, where you get to see all of it. Because if you're just standing there and you're seeing it just pass by and then it's over and you're just kind of like, might not have the same feeling.
Now what do we do?
Yeah. It had to get moved from, I want to say, Westminster Abbey to St. Paul's Cathedral because they needed more seating for it. And the train, it's almost weirdly ridiculous because it does look like a fairy tale Disney princess type wedding thing where she gets out of the horse-drawn carriage and she has a 25-foot long train on her wedding dress. And it sets records. It's the longest one.
What is that? You were the guy that had a real wedding. What?
The train is the thing that
I get it. Why?
I don't know.
My question. Okay.
I don't think Katie had a train.
It makes no sense to me. Why would you want something dragging behind you?
Because I don't know. Does it look proper or like regal or something like that? But she's getting out of this and she's got like some women helping her and everything. And she's getting out of this and the dress is huge in itself and everything. And it's just like, it feels like an accordion as she starts walking up the steps. It's just like someone pulling the handkerchief out of the jacket, or it just looks like there's more train coming out of the carriage and more train coming out of the carriage.
Well, not to mention she's being walked up these stairs in this massive dress by her fresh off of a stroke father. who's holding on to another man to get him up the stairs as he's trying to help Diana up the stairs, as she's dragging this 25-foot train behind her, praying to everyone around that nobody steps on it as she's walking up there. It seems stressful from the jump for her.
So they have the wedding. Another big thing, even from the jump, is that's made to be a big deal is they have them, she requested they take out the obey part in like the vows and everything.
Hell yeah. I'm a pretty big fan of that. I'm glad they did that. I'm glad Charles let that I'm glad Charles let that happen.
Yeah. And so that's something that also continued with Kate, and also something that continued with Meghan, is that they left that as well with the royal weddings. So she's actually saying his name. She's nervous as fuck. Who wouldn't be? And as she's saying his name, she mixes up his name a little bit. Not with like another person's name, but he's got like, what, 4 names?
4 names. She says Philip Charles instead of Charles Philip.
Mm-hmm. And so it keeps going on. There's not like a pause or anything during the ceremony. But as they're walking out, one of her friends that was like one of her bridesmaids is walking out with her. And she just turned and looked and she goes, I said his name wrong. And her friend's like, yeah. And she's like, do you think anyone heard? And she's like, yeah, I think. But it just goes to show you how like she was just trying to make a joke.
And she was just caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Like she's partaking in a wedding that's being watched in 74 countries. Mm-hmm. There's no other wedding like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that I can think of that even rivals that. I don't think 74 countries watch the Super Bowl.
No.
The numbers are incredible.
Okay.
750 million people.
They've got married. Let's take a bathroom break and then we'll get back into it.
Good.
Well, hello. Listen, while we head to the restroom and get ourselves something to drink, why don't you do something nice for yourselves? Head on over to patreon.com/historicallyhigh and get signed up for a little bonus content. I mean, come on, you deserve it.
If you want to keep up with this, our main source of social media is going to be our Instagram, which is historically high pod, POD.
You can also head over to, it's Twitter. It's X, it's Twitter, come on, at historically high, and that's high, H-I like, high.
If you have any recommendations, you want to get to us, just want to reach out and say hello, you can hit us up on our email at historicallyhighpodcast, HIGH podcast at gmail.com.
All right, and with that said, let's get back to the good stuff. Okay, not moving on from the wedding just yet, because yes, I completely forgot about the carriage ride. Leading out of from the St. Paul's Cathedral, taking them to, I believe, Buckingham Palace, right?
Mm-hmm. The suspension on this carriage, second to none. It's a stupid thing to point out, but I didn't realize quite how the suspension on these carriages worked. You could see it tilt as they were getting in, as they were going through what I would assume is probably cobblestone streets. You can just kind of see this nice little gentle bounce with it. And along with that, it kind of paints this whole scene to where this isn't 1981. Mm-hmm. This could have been the 16th century or the 17th century where this is happening, and there's so much pomp and circumstance about it. And the whole entire time, you get this beautiful, majestic scene of Princess Diana, now officially Princess Diana, loving this, where she's waving to these people, and you see Mr. Roboto sitting right next to her with this kind of not really blank look on his face, but almost more like the solemn look, to where he's looking over and seeing that Diana is moving her hand, and he's like, oh, I should look out there this way and move.
The wrist turns and he just goes, just waves a little.
It's just so weird to see two people that just shared in a very important ceremony in their lives, and to just see this guy giving nothing.
I know, but here's the thing. You see such a stark contrast from the jump. Because, I mean, she's not like fist pumping or anything, but she's looking at people and acknowledging people and waving and everything like that. And it's like he forgets where he is every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he'll just kind of look ahead. I don't know if he gets carriage sick. Maybe he has to stare ahead for a little bit. But then all of a sudden he kind of remembers what's happening. He's just like, oh, yes, so the wedding was just a few moments ago. Hello, subjects. So they end up getting back to, I want to say Buckingham Palace or anything, something like that.
Matter.
But there's also an area where there's like up on the second floor of this, it's a castle, there's like a balcony, and there's all these people coming out on the balcony. There's all these people down below. And as they're standing out there on the balcony waving with like all the family members and everything, it takes, like you said, the crowd being like, hey, kiss her, man.
Kiss. Yes, that is in my protocol. I believe I can find that somewhere.
Hold on, let me lubricate my mouth guards.
There was so much to it. It just felt like he didn't understand what it meant to be passionate.
Kiss. My mother never kissed me.
He sticks his hand out to shake it. She's like, no, my lips, asshole.
It's like the Peter Pan syndrome where they think the kiss is the thimble.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't take long because November 1st or was it 1st or 5th?
So before that, just really quick.
Okay.
We got to talk about the honeymoon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because, again, cracks from the get-go. So they decide on the honeymoon that the first part of it, they are going to cruise, I believe, around the Mediterranean, right?
12 days on the royal yacht.
On the Britannia, I believe it was, again. And during this time frame, they also go to Egypt, I want to say. So they're around the Mediterranean.
They go down to Egypt through the Mediterranean, I believe, right?
Yep. And so during this, what's a honeymoon? Basically, she's like, hey, we're on our honeymoon. We're in the Mediterranean. We should be like sunbathing and like having drinks and being out on the front of the yacht out in the, get our swimsuits on. And he's like, I'd actually just like to be alone with my books, please. And she's on her honeymoon.
Yeah.
She wants to have fun. And he's just like, this is like the only quiet time I get. And so I'm not like, but fucking step up for your honeymoon, dude. But he's like, and you start to see that they are not into the same things. He's sitting there at dinner and they're sitting there having their meal and he's like, do you like horses? She's like, not really, no. He's like, well, that's a shame. I love horses. You know who also loves horses? Camilla loves horses. Which he basically does in a different way because I want to say it's during the dinner with the Egyptian president.
Anwar Sadat, I believe is who it was, the Egyptian president.
Yeah, what do you call him Anwar Sadat? Yeah, because look, he looks exactly like Anwar Sadat.
That's the only reason I know Anwar Sadat's name, and as soon as I heard it, that was the first thing that I thought of.
So they're having dinner, I think on the yacht, I believe. Mm-hmm. And as they're leaving or sometime during the dinner, Diana looks over and his cufflinks, Charles's cufflinks kind of catch her attention. And she looks at him and on the cufflinks is an intertwined C and C.
Coco Chanel.
Yeah, it must be Coco Chanel.
Not hard to figure out.
Right? Yeah, that's what she's telling herself in her head. Like, I hope those are fucking designer.
Sure as shit hope that's not Charles and Camilla.
Mm-hmm. So she confronts him about it afterward, and he's just like, doesn't say they're Coco Chanel. He's like, well, you're making a big deal of this and everything. She's like, why the fuck do you have to wear those? You're the goddamn prince of, fucking the UK, England. You can't get other cufflinks?
Well, that was the one wedding gift that you decided to bring on the cruise. Was cufflinks from your friend Camilla. It's a slap in the face pretty much immediately.
When they do eventually get back, I want to say they go up to Balmoral for like 6 weeks or something like that as well as part of their honeymoon.
Could you imagine spending 6 weeks with your in-laws?
Maybe they weren't up there at that time.
They came up. Maybe not the whole time, but they were up there.
And during this time, it's not like maybe they had some privacy during the Mediterranean part, probably not a ton. There's just newspaper people, there's photographers. Anytime they go out to try to do something, they're getting interviewed, they're doing all the photo ops and everything like that. They're newlyweds. Yeah. They're presenting themselves in a certain way. And so I think they're living in Kensington Palace, and then also this place called Highgrove House is kind of where they're splitting their time. At some point, pretty soon after they're married, there was an instance where I believe they were walking into dinner or something like that, and Charles had like put his arm around Diana and made and I think it's just that robotic roll thing. He's like looking a little chubby.
So that was pre-wedding.
Was that pre-wedding?
Because they said that at the engagement, Diana's waist was about a 29, and on her wedding day, it was a 23.
And this is where she developed her eating disorders, where they're kind of tracking it back to, right?
Yep. This is when her struggle with bulimia started, was all the way back then. And it was something as simple as just a flippant comment from a guy that doesn't know how to think.
That's not a flippant comment.
Really?
I don't feel like that's a severe enough word for it. I guess it's
for a man that has no feelings.
Yes, for him to not understand what that comment can do to somebody, especially a woman who is now like the most photographed woman in the world, for him to say she's already fucking self-conscious. Yeah. There's not a woman in that situation who wouldn't be self-conscious. And for that person who's your husband to be like, looking a little chubby, love, that would fucking destroy people.
Yeah. It's just one thing after another where these little shots that end up, she just deals with them. She rolls with the punches. To say that she developed bulimia because of all of these little things, I'm sure that bulimia is probably not a rare thing in the royal family. I'm sure that there's plenty of people in the upper echelons of British society that probably have an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. But they also do it partially because they're so concerned about what they look like.
She was talking to somebody else at the table, and she's like, oh my God, how do you stay so skinny? And she's like, oh, you must be new here, love Diana. What we do is just eat everything you want here and then just go throw it up. She's like, what? And she's like, oh yeah, it totally works.
And that's a woman doing it for one reason. I'm not saying that that's how eating disorders go. I know that it's a pretty serious thing.
Yeah, not to make light of it.
Hers came more out of trauma than trying to always look great. Hers, it's almost a sense of control that she finally had over something because she lost control of everything pretty much immediately. Mm-hmm.
So now we're up to November 5th, 1981. This is when pregnancy announcement comes out. She is pregnant with Prince William.
They don't know yet, but she's pregnant.
Correct. Oh, yes. That's foreshadowing or spoiler alert.
Everybody knows. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows who comes out. Her mental health is really going through it. She felt like she didn't have a place in the family.
Because they're not the family she thought. They're not in any way, shape, or form and I'm not saying traditional like there is a traditional family, but in the sense that family interact with each other. They're like you said, it's a firm, it's a business, and everybody during the day has something that they're doing, and they don't communicate. And then at the end of the day, they don't all come together. They just go off in their little segments or whatever it is, and they really don't interact. And so when she's there, with all of this, the pressure from the wedding is off and everything like that, but now there's a new type of pressure on her as well. It's because there's this expectation, right? What's your job as a princess?
You gotta give a king. Mm-hmm. You gotta deliver it to king. There's points in time where she talks about how she would just go down and eat with the kitchen staff or eat with the help because she just wanted to be around somebody. She wanted to eat a meal with somebody.
Fucking human interaction.
It's just, she asked for so little. And I understand she's not, she makes some rash decisions at a few points in this episode, but I really can't blame her for what she's doing because she's put in a situation that I don't think a lot of people would survive in. She ends up having an accident and falling down the stairs. Later on, years later, she will make the admission that she was trying to end things and that she was basically trying to get out of the situation. And luckily, William, the child, is okay. She ends up bouncing back from this.
This was January 1982. I believe 12 weeks into her pregnancy is when she fell down the stairs.
She ends up riding it out. June 21st, 1982, William is born. And this is something that you brought up when we were studying that I didn't even really think about. She did what her mother couldn't do, which was supply the heir on her first try.
There's two different perspectives, I think, on this. It's the outward facing perspective, how everyone saw this, and then there's the way that she had to be looking at this too. All of a sudden, she's already the fucking she's the people's princess, man.
Yeah.
And now, first time, she does what I don't want to say the expectation, but what everyone hopes she's going to do. She's 1 for 1 at this point. The people love her even more. She's the first royal to have a baby in a hospital instead of having like all the medical staff at the Buckingham Palace or whatever.
She does what cost Henry VIII's wives' lives.
Yes.
She did what they couldn't do.
And here's something else I text you about. So because she's at a hospital and everything, she eventually has to go home and everything. And so, of course, as soon as she comes out of the hospital, she's got the baby. Charles is there. They get into a car and they drive away. But the last thing a woman would want to do at that point, especially just getting out of the hospital when it's a newborn baby and you've just been through all that, is, well, you got to get photo ready, honey. And she had to get photo ready. She had to be walking with that, child and carrying it out and everything. This isn't a situation where there's a car seat or anything like that, but she's carrying it out. He opens the door for her. She gets in, then he gets in and they drive away. But that was the last fucking thing that she wanted to be doing, was walking out there and having her picture taken.
And there's just parts of this where you really kind of see that is the juice worth the squeeze. But I do think that William coming along might have saved her life.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because
for a period.
The thing that she thought she was getting with Charles and the family, that turned out to be not what was expected. She still has a chance, I think, with having the kid, that she's like, I can still have my family. Yeah. It's just going to be, this family.
And I'm going to step up and I'm going to do what my mother couldn't. I'm going to raise this family and I'm not going to leave them. She doesn't leave them. During Diana's first royal tour of Australia and New Zealand, she breaks this royal protocol again and goes ahead and brings little baby William with the couple. Pretty cool that he's a few months old at this point in time.
Yeah, so he's born June 21st, 82. And then I think she takes the tour of Australia in 1983. I'm not sure when, but even if it's the first half of the year, less than a year old, she's postpartum, which is very common after women give birth. And
there's nothing fair about the birth of a child.
No, and here's the thing too, man. There's a certain expected anonymity or privacy, I think, that's just commonplace in society where, yeah, after you have a baby, you're going to have some family members that want to come over and see the baby. But for the most part, if you don't really want to go out and do something, people are pretty understanding about that.
Oh, you mean people don't enjoy running from the paparazzi with your child because they're trying to get a picture of it to sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Not only that, when you don't want it to happen, but you're scheduled to go have photo shoots and appearances and all of this stuff during this early initial time after you've just given birth and you're postpartum, and you have to go out and just be like, yep, I feel fantastic. I feel really great. Look at me. I'm smiling. Yay.
You're sitting at a press conference and they're quizzing you about your child and asking what their favorite toy is.
It's a wholly unique thing that who else can understand that? Like, to wrap your head around like that, I don't even know where to kind of start.
Yeah, you even see famous people now not doing that.
Yeah, they get the fuck out of Dodge and they disappear.
Yeah, people that crave the spotlight are even trying to have a little bit of anonymity. And she heads down to Australia and New Zealand, and she's a goddamn star again. Yep. The people love her down there.
You brought the kid? No one has ever. You're bucking these royal traditions where, I think we talked about this pre-show. She's doing these things that the royals think that they should be doing, but they have no clue that doing what Diana's doing until she does it is the way they should have been doing things to ingratiate. They're so distant and cut off from the people. We've talked about this how many times this week. Why are the royals still a thing?
I don't know. I truly.
But you're so distant from the people. Diana's like now building this bridge, and they're like, we love this. We love that she's out with the kid. We love that we see her and everything. We love that she talks to people. Like, you guys need more of this. She's making you guys not seem so much like robots.
She figured out how to smile, so she's already got you guys beaten wholly.
We don't so much like it when Charles smiles still, but he's working on it. He's workshopping it.
Charles looks like two things to me. He looks like the guy on the Mad Max magazines.
Not Mad Max, just Mad Magazine.
Or Mad Magazine,
I know what you mean, yes. The one that kind of looks like the redheaded, yeah.
Yep, he's got a name. I don't know what it is. And he also bears a striking resemblance.
Howard, as a child.
Even as an adult.
Yeah, a little bit.
He also looks to me like the clown that Happy Gilmore takes the putter to. He's got kind of that face and look about him.
Yep. You're gonna die, clown.
I can see him doing it. He actually, I have to give him a little bit of credit, a monicum of credit. During this Australia-New Zealand tour, he actually looks like he's having a good time. I think that he's finally realizing that his wife has kind of taken the spotlight, and he's good with it for now. And so they do put on a pretty good performance for the Commonwealth. In 1983, Diana confides in the premier of Newfoundland.
Nope, you got it right the first time.
Newfoundland. She's having a really tough time coping with the pressures of being a princess, being the Princess of Wales. She is learning to cope with it, though. Part of this is, I believe, after they get married and she becomes officially the Princess of Wales, they go to Welsh Parliament, and she delivers the opening lines in Welsh, which, again, sounds like total gobbledygook to me.
Yeah.
But is then able to translate it into English. And I don't know if they were clapping because she nailed it or if they were clapping because she tried.
I think because she looked like she gave a shit while she was actually trying.
I'm willing to bet that Charles never did that.
Do you think, too, because the Welsh didn't like the English, right?
Yeah, I think
at some point everyone in England doesn't like anyone in England. Do you feel like the Welsh were just like, we're keeping our own language, but we're going to make it sound just, we want to make it sound the exact opposite of how you guys talk. So you guys can't figure it out.
If only just to piss you all off. She's kind of figuring out how to deal with it. And the schedule of public appearances just, it's daunting to me, but she somehow finds her groove in motherhood to be able to still keep up, to be able to still go to all these engagements. And we'll talk about some of them soon because it's insane the number of these things.
She's figuring out how to operate within the system that she's in.
Yeah.
It's not so much operating with Charles per se, but she's figuring out what she can do and how she can kind of use her role. And again, she's just kind of doing normal stuff, but because it's someone from the royal family doing normal stuff, people are like, they never do this. This is awesome. Yeah. How are you doing this?
You're bringing it all.
And again, she's just becoming more popular and more. She's going and she's touring different parts of the world. She goes to the White House at a certain point to see Reagan, to meet them and everything. And there's like it's like a ball or something like that they have, that all these like American celebrities come out and they meet her and everyone's just in awe. And she is on the outside for, people that are just seeing it in the public eye. It looks like things are going pretty well. I mean, they have this baby. They look like when they're actually together, they're happy and everything. So all must be good, right?
Well, I think we're still in a time to where she's still fighting.
Yeah.
Because September 15th, 1984 rolls around. The second child, the spare heir, Harry, is born.
I love what they do there. The heir you gave, and they even have the name for it. You gave him both. You gave him the heir and the spare. You're 2 for 2. If the people couldn't love you anymore, you did the perfect thing.
Just in case something horrific happens to your husband and your first son and they die in some fiery crash, you gave us a spare.
And when I say that, there needs to be some satire there because, again, this whole thing about like her father had girls and everything, fantastic. It's just a fucking healthy kid. But the fact that this creates so much additional love for her, that this act of just being like, you had another boy, yeah.
I don't think that there's a parent out there alive that cares whether they have a boy or a girl when they have it, when they first hold it. This is probably the one family, and knowing what's on the line, that they just love seeing boys over girls. Like
dicks.
Absolutely.
Girls are just currency, right? Because you marry them
back
off.
Then, yeah. Well, and probably even today by some standards in these circles, but this was the closest that Diana said that her and Charles ever were. And she says this herself, that Charles wanted a baby girl so badly that when Diana finds out that it's a boy, she didn't tell anybody. She wouldn't even let them know. That's how much she cared about Charles' feelings, that she didn't want to wreck the illusion of potentially having a girl for him.
Again, she married for love. She's not giving up on it. Like, she wants to try to make this work. Yeah. This was the whole point. You don't get divorced in this situation. That's why, one of the reasons why she got into it.
And once she becomes this mother or two, she does not defer to Charles or the family. She gives the boys this world of experience that no royal has ever probably come close to having.
Okay, so both kids born in a hospital.
Yep.
Bucking tradition. No wet nurses. Previous monarchs didn't always do the breastfeedings themselves. They had wet nurses to do this.
Oh, that's what
even
a wet
Charles
nurse is?
and Andrew had wet nurses. Dan is the first one to do breastfeeding. Like, strictly no wet nurses. She takes them, I mean, when they get older and stuff like that, she takes them out places and does normal things with them. She'll take them to, like, and again, this is further along when they get a little bit older. She takes them to McDonald's. She has them wait in line. They go out to restaurants. There's this one time when they were at a restaurant and the guy came up, he's like, we have the specials, and it's telling them the specials of the day. And William was like, are you offering us those because we're special? And Diana looks at him and goes, you're going to get a special smack here in a minute. And she would give them, a little bit of money to go into like a convenience store.
She gave them allowance.
Yeah, to buy their own candy. So they had to interact and see what it was like to have to go purchase something yourself. Like, she had to have been looking at the way that people were once she got in there and being like, do you guys know how to do anything for yourselves? Like, what would you do if you wanted to go out and get a candy bar? Well, I'd send out Jeffrey to get Jeffrey gets the candy bars. Okay, well, what if you guys want to go see like a movie or something? Oh,
we have the screening room here.
This is the cinema. Like, she had to have seen that there was such a deficiency in just normal operational human skills that she was like, I got to get these fucking kids out of this house and like train them to do normal shit.
It even goes beyond that. She takes William out. William says that he remembers this very well. It was getting late at night, and she took William out onto the street, and she had him talk to homeless people.
I mean, there's bodyguards and everything like that around, of course, but she's still going out there and being like, you don't ever see this.
You're the king. This is a segment of your society that you have to be knowledgeable about. They're never going to tell you about this.
Do you ever hear grandma or your dad talking about any of these people? No, you probably just get this jolly old image of everything being great because everything is through rose-colored glasses where we're at. But this is real.
Yeah, and everything's cool inside the gates of Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
Except for any sort of family feelings. Mm-hmm. But she schedules her life around these two boys. I was shocked to learn this. When time permitted, she would take them to school herself. She was engaged in their activities.
They went to public school, or as much a public school as they would be allowed to go to. It wasn't
still private school, I'm sure, but it was public enough.
It wasn't royal tutors coming in and only having those two and teaching them. She wanted them to like have some type of normal educational experience where they were making friends and everything. And then one time, I think William came out of school and he's like, Mom, I'm a prince. And she's like, you're William.
Yep. Maybe my top two favorite things that I saw doing research for this episode. During a field day, Princess Diana takes off the shoes and she competes in a foot race with the other children's parents. Mm-hmm. You see the princess hauling ass, full out. You see the arms pumping.
She has a seasoned run.
Yeah. She almost looks like she's leaning for the finish line tape at the end.
And she's wearing like a calf length, if even a little bit further down. And she is just hauling. And I mean, there's other mothers that are running their asses off, but you're sitting here watching the Princess of Wales.
Yeah.
And I think they even listed out the years that she did it. 91 she got first. She started to slow down. 92 she got second. Then the next year third, and then I think one year she's like tied for fourth or fifth.
And you'd be shocked to know that the royal protocols don't have anything penciled in for being able to compete in a foot race at your son's school. Mm-hmm. That's not very princess-like in the royal eyes.
Took him skiing and everything, and like...
Yeah, I imagine rich kids skiing all the time. But probably on a private lift on a private mountain, they're not skiing with the public.
But there's almost a constant, it feels like in like 70% of these like photos and everything, is that Charles isn't there.
No. And 100% that pretty much everybody's smiling. Everybody's having a good time. You can see the way that these kids are interacting. I believe it's William saying one of his favorite memories with his mother is when she took him to Disneyland. And I believe that this was post-divorce, spoiler alert. And it was like 2 bodyguards that were with them, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And you see this picture of them coming down on the log flume ride. And it's William in front, Harry in the middle, Diana behind him, and then a bodyguard in the back. And they all just get soaked. And you just see that this is what a family should look like.
And like the other people that are with him, like another bodyguard and like a few other people vacationing are in the next flume, and they're just fucking laughing.
They're all just having fun. It seems like being around Diana for these boys was the best thing that ever could have happened to them. And mostly that's good because, like you say, Charles is absent for this stuff. Even though she's still doing all of this kind of stuff, she's out there. She still has engagement. She still has things that she has to do. She said that she considered Harry Harry was naughty like she was, and William was a little wise old man because William would come home and he would tell him about her day and about his feelings and about a girl that he had a crush on. And Harry just seemed like he might have been caught running around with a knife from time to time.
Again, spoiler alert, after the divorce, and I totally get this, William kind of became like her confidant. And there's a certain, as weird as it sounds, there's a certain role, and I don't mean it in like a weird romantic way, but there's a certain role that like when you see your mother by herself and everything like that, you try to step up to be in what way you can a companion.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what he was for her as well. It kind of sucks that Harry didn't get to experience that because he was younger and everything. So like, I wish maybe he would have kind of gotten that a little bit, but I mean, those kids were all about their mom. And I mean, this leads to not only I think the relationship with the kids, but just the general continual love and admiration that the public has for Diana. Honestly, like at this point, she really can do no wrong.
Well, who hates a story about a good mom?
Yeah.
Nobody does.
Especially a good mom that has all this other stuff going on to where people are looking at that and saying, she's a good mom, despite the fact that she does not have to be a good mom. She could have these kids raised by someone else. She has the means to do all this. This is what happens in the royal family. And she's like, no, not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, their marriage kind of begins to fracture even further as Charles somehow becomes less involved in the marriage and even more less involved in fatherhood. But he's still dedicating himself to his duties to the firm, to the royal family. He's also dedicating a lot of his time to Camilla, whereas I believe Diana is staying down in...
Kensington?
Yeah. Charles is spending a lot of time in their other residence, and Camilla's on the guest list for people that are coming to visit. It's just... I don't know. It's got to be so tough for Diana to keep fighting to the point to where she has a couple flings. Right around this time, 85, 86, Diana probably has a relationship with a bodyguard. His name is Barry Manicky. There's different instances where she's made statements in recordings and interviews about finding somebody who understood her, somebody that she loved deeply. She never said anything about a physical relationship, but I'd probably guess that was a part of it. Interesting how this all goes down. Barry is removed from his role in 1986. He's put on another detail, and Barry ends up dying of a motorcycle accident in 1987. It was said that the royal family knew about maybe some indiscretions that happened between Barry and Diana, and Charles was also pretty keenly aware because they had basically spies in and around that were watching all of these things go on. And Barry just happens to die in 1987, a year later after this happens. I'm not saying that these people called hits. I'm also just
saying that if anybody had the ability to pull these things off, it's them.
Yeah, of course, there has to be an inquest in these things because it's such odd circumstances. And surprise, surprise, the inquest says that there's no foul play, but they didn't really explain why there wasn't any foul play. So, I mean, if we're tacking one onto them, I would more than likely say that Barry might be attributed to the Windsor family list.
So the Charles just continues kind of to get jealous of it, just increases because again, she can do no wrong. Dude, he needs to just lean into this shit. Like, you have a cool wife who everybody loves, who's an awesome mom. She's going to do nothing but make you look good.
Takes the pressure off.
Yeah. And instead you're fooling around with your fucking writing buddy with handsome features and everything. I don't know. But as Camilla comes back into the picture, you start to see more of a kind of public facing type fracture. The fracture was kind of kept private, but now there's enough of one that it's starting to become pretty evident. There's a picture that Diana takes in front of the Taj Mahal, and I didn't know this. We haven't done an episode on it, but the Taj Mahal apparently was built by someone for like his great love.
It was like the largest love letter from a Shah to his wife.
Yeah, and so it's a monument of love. And there's this iconic image of her basically sitting on a bench in front of the Taj Mahal by herself.
And there's, of course, bluster now saying that this was all an intentional photo op to try to send a message to Charles. I don't know if she was one to be able to whip up the waterworks for this. I mean,
honestly, even if it was,
yeah.
I mean, what else is working at this point? You know,
true.
She kind of especially with the relationship with Camilla and everything like that, there was an instance where I think, I don't know if it was like a polo match or something like that, but Charles goes to give her a kiss and she totally just gives him like the side of the face.
Right after he got finished with his polo match, she was supposed to award him his medal and she gives him the medal. And as soon as he leans in to kiss her, she turns over and he kisses her ear. Mm-hmm. And he actually finally shows a little bit of emotion in public. Yeah. Not good emotion.
Nope. Do you have anything before 1989?
Yep.
Okay.
It was a little harsh. In between...
What did they call it? The War of the Whales?
Yeah. The War of the Whales is, because they couldn't figure out that whales would just work. Mm-hmm. She begins taking up with the family riding instructor. His name was James Hewitt. There's been rumors about this relationship that he might be Harry's father because Harry does bear somewhat of a resemblance, along with the red hair, this James Hewitt guy. The marriage is showing its wear by 87. It's pretty clear that something has gone very, very wrong. And Diana's schedule's crazy. I couldn't believe 1988, and this is a down year compared to what we're going to talk about. She carried out 191 engagements in a 365-day year. That's a lot of engagements to go out there.
More than every other day.
Yeah. Just, it keeps coming. One of these engagements that happens in 1987 is pretty earth-shattering, and it made me do a little personal exploration myself. April 1987, Diana shows up at Middlesex Hospital. This is the UK's first AIDS ward, and I believe there's 6 patients inside of it, a day just like any other, and Diana walks into this AIDS ward unannounced, I believe, to the surprise of everybody, and these people are sick inside this infirmary, and she does something to kind of shatter the beliefs of the world because AIDS and HIV was so new to the Western world back then. It obviously wasn't new to Africa, but we didn't think about Africa too much in the world that we were living in. She walks in and shakes one of these patients' hands without a glove on. She touched an AIDS patient in a handshake that I think nobody really understood was possible or safe at that point in time.
During a speech, she said, HIV does not make people dangerous to know. You can shake their hands and give them a hug. Heaven knows they need it. What's more, you can share their homes, their workplaces, and their playgrounds and toys. So she kind of, I think, especially during the time when her and Charles' marriage is in the dumps, she starts using the resources that she has available to her as part of being a royal and starts leaning into humanitarian efforts. She's a champion for, destigmatizing AIDS and everything like that, and about research to try to cure that. Big problem that I didn't know existed, landmines. But when you think about it, because during every war, those things don't get exploded. Landmines in Angola were apparently a huge thing, and she championed getting those removed, starting a coalition to do that. She was a hands-on person. I don't mean that as a pun with the shaking hands of the patients and everything. She walked through a minefield.
A good one, though. Good pun.
Yeah.
Gotta call him like I see him. Good pun.
She championed fights against homelessness, leprosy. She was charitable to several hospitals. She's like, I think she looked around and said, hey, there's a lot of causes out here. And I know that the royals do these token charitable things where there's probably balls and stuff where people get an excuse to get dressed up and donate a little bit of money to make themselves feel better. But
yeah,
we have all of these resources and all of these things we could be doing. If you guys aren't going to do them, then I'm going to do them. And I'm going to also kind of get some fulfillment out of this role that I've been put in.
I'm not 100% on it. I think you might have watched or seen or heard it too. There was a point in time where Princess Di goes and speaks to Queen Elizabeth, and she tells Queen Elizabeth that she would like to get involved with the process to find a cure for AIDS. And Queen Elizabeth looked at her and said, I wish that you would take an interest in something that wasn't so sad.
Yeah. Can't you do nice things? Can't you think of something more pleasant?
Yeah, we want these people to smile because, again, I'm sure AIDS is a million miles away from the Queen, so this isn't something that she's ever had to think about. Yep. And at that same time, 1989, she goes over to Indonesia and visits a leprosy hospital. I don't know a lot about leprosy. I know that it involves skin and parts of your body falling off, and it's a pretty bad deal. I'd like to think that it's eradicated for my own mental health, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
I think it's still a thing.
She would go over and sit next to these patients on their beds, and she would just basically comfort them and to show not only England kind of like, hey, this is a pretty special lady. It's a lot of, hey, the world sees this. This isn't just an England thing. This is something that the world can see a princess overdoing and maybe get behind these causes. It's
not only that she's a princess, is that the world has their focus on her. She is still like this. I don't feel like it really dies down.
No.
Ever for her. And when she's like, I got so many eyes on me, I'm going to put so many eyes on all these other things that I can start actually putting this publicity and all this attention on me to use. It's being wasted on just me. Yeah. And for as public as she was in 1989, she has a very, very personal moment at a birthday party for Andrew Parker Bowles' sister. She confronts Camilla and basically is telling her that she's willing to fight for her husband and she just wants to be able to keep her husband. I think there's obviously the conversation isn't word for word that we get a transcription of, but something along the lines of Camilla saying that Princess Di has everything and Princess Di says, I just want my husband. Just a very honest answer. This royally pisses off Charles. He feels like Diana has not only overstepped, but is just kind of in this sort of mad state for no reason. She's this 27-year-old walking up to this like 41-year-old woman and being like, quit. Like, we got 2 kids.
You lost.
Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, this is my husband.
Look at this.
Not to mention, you're married to Andrew Parker Bowles. It's not like you're this single spinster. You have a marriage and children of your own.
Yeah.
Maybe focus on that. And Andrew Parker Bowles, by all accounts, doesn't give a single fuck because he's out there with the ladies too.
Yeah.
So he's got himself some side pieces.
He's not going to have sex with Camilla unless he absolutely has to.
No. Crazy move on his part to pull the trigger on that. Anything before 1992?
No.
1992, a book comes out that was written by an author named Andrew Morton. It was titled Diana, Her True Story. And
Diana in Her Words.
Oh, Diana in Her Words is what that one was? Mm-hmm. Okay. The book was written using these secret recordings that were made by this guy named James Colthurst. And Colthurst was actually inside Buckingham Palace. I don't know if they were questions that Morton had pre-written for him to ask her, but Diana's answering these questions. And the only reason that we know anything about this, because when this book comes out, Diana denies every single part of being a part of this. Mm-hmm. And for a time, I believe, while Diana's still alive, Andrew Morton goes along with it. But she gave these recordings of just kind of how her life is. She's talking about the infidelity. She's talking about the bulimia. And when this book comes out, it just stops the royal family in their tracks. And
no one has got a story like this. No one has. This is the stuff that they make like dramatic TV out of now, where there's infighting and there's like, affairs in the royal court and all that kind of stuff. At this point, the perception of the royals was just this perfect system that worked. And now she's basically being like, lies. It's all bullshit. But just focusing on her story.
Yeah. And
they're still married. So again, 89 is when she confronts Camilla. This is all the way to 2.5 years later that this book comes out. And this book also kind of comes out in regards to Camilla, or maybe it was the interview or the interviews, because Camilla had like a little group, I can't remember what it was called, is also spreading shit about Diana possibly having like these bouts of mental illness and everything.
Yeah, it's some kind of gardener's club, some shit. I don't know what it was, but it was some stupid
It's her
name.
writing club.
Yeah. I forgot to mention this, just the 191 engagements that she had in 1988. By 1991, Diana attends 391 events in that year alone. So more than one a day she's traveling to.
And those it's like a fucking road comic. Those aren't in the same place.
Yeah.
She could have to travel to Scotland. She could have to travel to France. She could have to travel over here, over there.
She might have one day where she's got one at 10, one at 2, one at 6.
Every opportunity she's taking the boys with her.
Yeah. It's just...
And this kind of gives you a comparison too, because some of this, I'm a big proponent of a product of your environment.
Yeah. 100%.
There's ways you can get around that, but Charles himself is definitely a product of his environment. The reason that he doesn't know what can impact someone emotionally is because no one ever treated him with any emotion. There's I want to say it's like a footage of the queen his mother coming back from someplace. And as she sees him, she doesn't bend down to kiss him or hug him, despite being away from him for actually a while. She holds out her hand and shakes his hand. And so for him, I just don't know what's broken inside him that has him being the person that he is. When you see Diana and she gets back from someplace or sees the kids, it's running up to him, hugging him, picking him up, kissing him and everything. And you look at that contrast and you look at Charles and you're just like, yeah, you never had anything close to that. You might not, I don't think you understand that.
There is a certain badness that you feel for Charles because you know that he did go through that.
You feel sympathy for him.
Yeah. I didn't want to use the word sympathy because there is the other side.
Because he'll hear it.
Huh?
Because he'll hear it.
No.
Do you get it?
Yeah, he probably could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, the king could be listening to this via satellite weeks before it
Trying
comes
to
out.
plug his ears with his swollen hands.
But I can't say that I feel sympathy for him because he is carrying on what seems to be a romantic,
Yeah.
feelings-filled relationship with Camilla.
I don't know what kind of feelings that involves.
Yeah, true. We're talking about this could be kitty deep. Kitty,
Yeah.
it's just, there might not be much there, but that shallow emotion could be what Camilla can respond back with.
Can you imagine? Do you think that, I don't like her, but I don't want to make horrible generalizations, but the power that Camilla had to feel that she had in that situation where she had this, like, just this prince's nuts in a vice and would do anything that she really said.
Despite what happens to his career.
I feel like that's got to be a big part of the appeal for her.
Yeah. After this book comes out, the Queen and Philip call a players only meeting and they write letters to both Charles and Diana to just try to reconcile the couple, but there's no success. I mean, what's done is done. Whether she had a part in this book or not, there was enough shit that they knew that was true that they realized that it had to have come from somewhere inside the house.
Philip was, I feel like this is the only time Philip was like the voice of reason, where he basically just was, talking to both of them and saying, you both have kind of fucked around a little bit. I know that there's some bad feelings. Try to look at it from the other person's perspective for a minute. And that's about the most logical thing that Philip ever got to saying.
And the only reason that happened is because he didn't have Windsor blood flowing through his veins.
December 92. This is when the prime minister... Oh, go ahead.
August 92.
Okay.
Diana and childhood friend James Gilby's phone tapes are made public.
Ooh, Squiddygate, right?
Yes. The reason that it's nicknamed Squiddygate is because he uses this term of endearment from when they were a child. He calls her Squidgy. And
yeah, Squidgygate, not Squiddygate.
All of this sounds like it could be bad. I didn't listen to the tapes, so I don't know how salacious they were. But it also makes me wonder how those tapes were acquired.
Yes. Here's the thing with that. One thing does not beget the other.
No.
Diana is not innocent in all aspects of it. It's just very easy to understand why she does the things that she does.
Yeah.
She's fucking lonely. She's being ignored and everything. At this point, Charles probably isn't even hiding it. I mean, from the public, but he's probably not making it very hard to know where he's at and that he's with Camilla.
We're getting close to public, my friend.
I know we are. The reason that I think because looking into it, both sides, there's not a lot of salacious stuff in the whole Squidgygate, the stuff. There's stuff to say that there's romantic implications and feelings on this, but when you compare it to Camilla Gate, that's going to be coming up here in a second, it blows any of Squidgygate shit completely out of the water to where someone looking at that and saying, okay, both of you are carrying on affairs and you're trying to hold those on an equal scale. And then you look at Charles and you're just like, that's a whole different thing than what Diana's doing.
Yeah. Diana sets down a handful of feathers and Charles walks in with a 5-pound block of lead. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you were talking about December 1992, for some reason the prime minister has to be the one that makes this declaration. His name is John Major.
Well, he has to address the House of Commons, man. They need to know.
Why?
I don't know.
They're two separate bodies. They're two separate entities.
They are, but it makes such a huge impact on the country, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I know. I'm right with you on that. John Major has to tell the House of Commons about the domestic separation of Charles and Diana. So he has to hold a session and say, okay, nobody freak out. They're probably going to work it out. We're confident in this, but for the time being, Her Royal Highness, Princess Diana, and Prince Charles are separated. And you have to imagine the collective gasps and because it's all men, there's no pearl clutching,
Yep.
but just the collective. And then one guy was probably like, and like had a stroke or something or a heart attack.
And then John has to be like, I can't stress this enough. It's an amicable separation.
Which means that there's such a likelihood of them getting back together. Listen, hey, who in this room has not been separated from their wife for a period of time? And everyone's just like, well, I guess he's right. Tom, you're right now. I'm sleeping here.
Looking at you, Tom. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about. 1993, Tom did not share a similar experience with Charles. Because in 1993, there's audio that comes out of Charles and Camilla that was released to the public. It became known as either Tampon Gate or Camilla Gate.
Which one do you prefer?
Tampon Gate.
Are you going to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whichever. If you would like to, go ahead.
No, okay. You go ahead.
So we're going to break this. Oh, better idea.
You told me about this, so you get to talk about it.
You want to play little Charles and Camilla?
Yes, I will be. You know what? And because this is your... I'm going to let you pick. Who do you want to be?
I'd like to be Charles.
Okay, you can be Charles.
You got it?
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay. Charles. Oh, God. I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It would be much easier.
I'm trying to figure out how I want to play Camilla here. What are you going to turn into? A pair of knickers? Oh, you're going to come back as a pair of knickers.
Oh, God forbid. A Tampax. Just my luck.
You are a complete idiot. Oh, what a wonderful idea.
My luck to be chucked down the lavatory and to go on forever swirling around on the top, never going down.
I will say that's pretty flowery for describing the flushing pattern of it.
Disgusting.
Oh, darling.
Until the next one comes through.
Oh, perhaps you could come back as a box.
What sort of box?
A box of tampons so you could just keep going. And scene.
In a word, hilarious. In 2 words,
can't write that. You couldn't write that shit if you tried.
No, that is not something. Shakespeare didn't write that. They weren't quoting Shakespeare.
That's why I really feel like she had him just so deep, just puppeting him inside his ass. One tampon isn't good enough. You're coming back as a box of my tampons.
What is that?
I don't know.
Why are you talking about flushing yourself down the toilet until the next one comes? You're talking about her menstrual cycle.
Buddy, this is two 40-somethings. This is two 40-somethings in the 90s.
Camilla
talking
only
dirty
has
on the phone.
A certain amount of years to where she's going to need Tampax still.
That's when, yeah.
So maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was in such a rush to get inside of her knickers and be her tampon.
I gotta be a tampon while there's still time.
Also, you think this is a pad situation?
No.
Or do you think this is a...
Oh, if he's talking, it's called Tampon Gate. It's not called Pad Gate.
Fair. That's true.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Disgusting. Awful. I could think of...
Charles, you dirty fucking dog.
Yeah, I'd rather read my text out loud than have to get that put... no, just bad. This, of course, after the separation, doesn't look great. October 1993, there's a letter from Diana to her butler, and this is foreshadowing. Definitely feels like a word that could be used for this, because it definitely seems like foreshadowing.
It's fucking eerie is what it is.
So she writes to her butler, I am sitting here at my desk today in October, longing for someone to hug me and encourage me to keep strong and hold my head tight. She added this particular phrase, in this particular phase of my life is the most dangerous. My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and a serious head injury to make the path clear for him to marry Tiggy.
And Tiggy was the previous nanny that Charles had hired to take care of the kids when he had the kids.
That famously criticized the way that Diana was raising her children, who got clapped back with saying that she didn't like that Tiggy smoked cigs around the kids. They had a pretty public back and forth.
What are you doing? What? Who do you think you are coming after Di like that?
Yeah, it's nothing good.
That bitch. Oh my God. Can you imagine as soon as society found out she smoked cigarettes around the Heir and the Spare, she couldn't go anywhere without getting dog shit thrown at her.
Yeah, you smoke around the Heir and the Spare, you can't go anywhere.
Well, what do you do when stuff like this comes out? You go on a news program.
Interview.
Yep, an interview for media redemption. And you fail horribly because during this interview, she asked Charles straight up, have you been unfaithful? And he's like, yes. But it was only after the marriage had broken down. Well, I don't know what Charles was thinking. I don't know if... Here's the thing. I think Charles forgot who he was. And I think because it had come out about Diana having also those affairs, right?
Yeah.
He looked at still how people looked at Diana and was like, oh, so it's not a big deal for these people. Oh, okay, cool. I'll admit to it, and they'll be like, they'll admire my honesty and everything. And I mean, they probably knew he did it already, but hearing him admit to it and be like, but it was after the marriage broke down. They're like, we don't fucking care, dude. We love her. We would get rid of you in a heartbeat and plug her in your place so she could be queen.
Not to mention Charles comes back to Westminster, I'm sure, and he comes walking through the door, and Queen's in having her tea and sipping down a couple G&Ts, getting a little loose, and Charles walks in, and I'm sure Elizabeth's like, saw the interview. You want to talk about it? He's like, yeah, I think that it went pretty well. I think that I got my part of the story out and made us look good. She's like, heard what you said about the infidelity. Any regrets? Any questions? He's like, no, I think I did a good job. She's like, go to your room.
You done fucked up, Chuck.
Yeah, I know you're like 47 years old, but go to your room.
Mommy, no.
Don't call me mommy. I'm the queen.
The timing of this next thing is amazing because I want to say it was on the day it may have aired, the interview.
Oh, yeah.
Diana is going out to like some type of benefit or something like that. And she ends up wearing what's to be known henceforth as, well, I'm not naming it, but this is what it's called, the revenge dress. And it is a modest cocktail dress. But for a member of the royal family, again, she's still royal. She's still Her Royal Highness.
Yeah.
This thing is hot. And people are like, this is her basically going out on her own to this, event or whatever like that, looking like a smoke show to basically send a message on the day of this interview coming out to Charles and being like, the same thing. You fucked up, Chuck.
It's something that I hesitated to bring up because I know that I'm going to be just above my weight class pretty quickly. She was kind of a fashion icon. She worked with a lot of designers, I think, that were new and coming up and that would allow kind of her input in the different dresses that she would wear as far as fabrics and that type of thing. And she put a lot of designers on the map. Mm-hmm. There were women that would go out, I believe it was, and this is even outside of England, it was a Pakistani person that they were interviewing, and I think she might have been a contributor or she might have been a journalist. And she said that when Princess Di would step out in a new outfit, her mom would go buy the same fabric for the sarong or whatever that they wear. So she obviously wasn't going to dress like her, but even just the fabric,
the colors,
Di's new dress, that was the kind of influence she had on style.
One of the newspaper headlines that had the picture of Diana in the revenge dress, it says, "The thriller he left to woo Camilla."
Probably sometime after the thriller in Manila happened. Mm-hmm. Nice little play on words.
Anything before 95?
Let me see. We have the same year, 1994, there is another book that's released called Princess in Love, and it pretty much lays out punch for punch Diana and Hewitt's relationship because Hewitt was the main source for the book.
That's a fucking gut punch.
Yeah, and Diana, I think, still had some feelings for Hewitt as far as at least respecting him.
Not after that.
No. It just fans the flames on a fire that he's now outside of that she has to live in.
Did he not understand what happened to the guy? The last guy?
He didn't know about the bodyguard's motorcycle accident?
Apparently not.
Yeah, so November 95, is that where you're at?
Again, she's kind of bulletproof because it doesn't do a whole lot. Because people that read that look at it and is like, yeah, this dude was much cooler than Charles.
Well, and the issue still is, though, is she's still married. Like, they're not divorced.
Well, and this had gone on since 86.
Yeah.
So it was like a 5-year affair.
Yeah, they definitely got to it. So, yeah, November 1995, the BBC interview.
Yeah. So this is literally just after Charles' 47th birthday. Might have been the day after, if not very, very close. Diana goes on and gives this interview and basically brings up some points that are questioning Charles' capability or what am I trying to say here?
His propensity for leadership.
Yes. And calling into question his ability to be a ruler.
If I'm being honest, I got some questions myself.
Guy can't keep Camilla's finger out of his ass.
If the stakes could be any higher for what a king would be, I would have questions. But the fact that I know that he doesn't have his finger on any buttons that are connected to anything, it just makes them look bad. What it does, though, is William is of an age at this point in time to where he doesn't love Diana's interview. He doesn't love the way that even though his father is cold and not a great person to him, he's still his dad.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is playing out in the media, these kids have to be just forced to deal with their parents' transgressions left and right.
This feels like one of the first times that Diana goes low.
Yeah.
And I think their
revenge dress feels...
No, I can totally get it. The revenge dress is just being like, I'm going to go out looking hot.
Yeah.
Like how it's a revenge dress, man. And that happens all the time. I think for William, the relationship that he had with his mother was one that looked at her and said, you kind of always take the high road. You handle this shit with grace. This is the first time that she kind of got down in the mud with Charles. Yeah. And I think he looked at that and that might have disappointed him and shattered a little bit of an illusion. Again, she's a fucking person. Yeah. She's a human going through shit that also a child that age can't comprehend just due to life experience. But I could see how he'd be like, you're kind of doing what he's doing. And I don't want you to do that because he's doing it.
Yeah, I didn't look at it from that point of
view.
And
it's also as a kid and someone who has had divorced parents, up until the point, even after the divorce and everything, there's still always this hope of them getting back together. And I think for William, seeing the gap widen is the worst thing for him. He's not seeing anything being brought back together or any type of, reconciliation or anything like that. He's seeing these things happening as just making that possibility of divorce much more likely. Yeah, and that's fucking terrifying for a kid.
They cut the canoe. They cut the cord of the canoe, and it's just slowly drifting away from the dock, and eventually you're just not going to be able to see it anymore. This doesn't take long because that interview happens November 1995. December, Queen Elizabeth writes in both letters basically saying, hey, it's time to do some shit that we haven't done in a long time. It's time for a divorce. It's just...
No one's going to lose their head.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to kill you now, but this is getting pretty serious. February 1996, Diana publicly discusses the divorce agreement that happens with Charles and the representatives of the Queen. So not even Charles himself, which I think was definitely a dig, saying that your mom has to come fight your battles for you.
It takes them... So they basically, like you said, December 20th, handwritten note. I believe June 15th is when the divorce is granted. And then it's another couple months before it's actually finalized. So that's still 7 months, 8 months that they're going through all this. And when they finally get in front of the barrister, whoever is doing this, it takes 3 minutes to push this thing through. They weren't even there. They were showing the kind of the docket of things that the judge was going to be seeing. And the very last thing of the day was the names of, it was,
HRH.
yeah, and then it was their names. It just had to be wild to see.
If you were on the divorce docket that day, there's only one reason that you would keep that paper that has the docket on it. And it was to sell that shit later on.
So once the divorce is granted, she is given pounds, I guess, 17 million pound payout.
It's like $42 million, I believe.
Yep. She will get $400,000 per year because she is still weirdly
Alimony.
enough. Correct, but she's also still a representative of. Listen, she's kind of. This was their last resort, man. They did not want to do this. I think they also realized how much shine she put on the royal and how much she kind of polished them up a little bit, just from a public. I want to say like the way the public looked at them as people at this point. And so she was still going to serve in a capacity. She was still Princess of Wales. That part didn't get removed, but when she got divorced, she lost the title of Her Royal Highness. So I guess you can just pick and choose which titles they're going to keep.
Yeah, I don't know what the difference is. I don't know why one of them's more. Princess of Wales sounds way cooler than Her Royal Highness.
It does. And even William at that point, once she had lost that, and Diana said it really didn't matter to her or anything like that. She didn't really care about the titles, but he could see something was being taken away from her, and he told her, he's like, when I'm king, he's like, I'm going to get you your Royal Highness back.
So we'll see.
Yeah. But so 400,000 a year is what she would get to essentially also support the fact that she was leading like several charities and like doing a bunch of philanthropy that was still then looking good, at least
She's
to some
still
degree.
the golden goose.
Yes, exactly.
She's definitely still the face of the royal family.
She's Diana, Princess of Wales still.
Yeah. Post-divorce Diana, firecracker. She comes out of the gate with this new hairdo, and I believe that it's very, very hard to perfectly pull off a short hair look for a woman. When it's done right, it's fucking awesome.
You know what the transformation is? The transformation is, do you remember True Lies with Arnold and Jamie Lee Curtis?
Vaguely.
Had Tom Arnold in it.
Oh, JLC's always been a short-haired gal.
Yeah, but she has that kind of like the same way Diana did, almost that weird kind of, I don't even know how to describe that. It's a poofed up kind of do.
Yeah.
And when she goes to like her stylist and everything, she's like, what do you think? Do whatever. I trust you. And so she comes out with the style where it's like kind of slicked over to one side and kind of back. It reminds me of True Lies when Jamie Lee Curtis is having to go meet with Arnold, but she doesn't know it's him. And she's in the hotel lobby and she sees her hair and she sees how much of like, how frumpy she looks.
Yeah.
And she takes the water out of the flower vase and slicks her hair back. And you're like, Jamie Lee is sexy now.
Yeah. I 100% see Bond Girl.
Yes.
She looks so much like a Bond girl. And she goes out with
She looks like she's the girl when Bond walks in to like the party scene or the bar.
the casino.
Yep. And she is the one over by the bar that turns and looks at him and he's just like, fuck.
That's my mark.
Yes.
That's who I need.
That's who I'm giving syphilis to tonight.
She was short. Those dresses were tight and they were short and they showed off the features of a mother who is a mother of two.
Who had worked hard.
Very flattering way. Unfortunately, probably the bulimia played a part in that as well. The paparazzi
just totally took the wind out of those sails.
I know that. Oh. I didn't want to say it, but she's still going through it. I mean, she's still battling those demons, even though she's free.
She's still the most photographed woman in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and eventually it does probably turn into that feeling of knowing that fact and needing to stay that way.
Do you think that there were times, I mean, there had to have been times when Charles is hanging out with Camilla, they see this on a paper, they're walking down the street, they turn and look and see her on a newspaper, front page, looking awesome, and he just then looks at Camilla and she looks at him and he's just kind of like, oh. Or like family gatherings and everything when they go meet up and just the other royals hanging out with Charles are just like, dude, you fucking blew it.
All of the cousins are like did you see the paper?
Like, look at you. Yeah. And you had that. Yep. What is wrong with you?
And you traded it in for that.
Yes.
She's also hanging out with Elton John and George Michael and Giovanni Versace. She's just out there lighting the fashion world on fire in all of these different outfits. And it's so nice to, I don't know how much of it was I need to be seen in a light that I truly feel is me. And then how much of it's just like, hey, royal family, here's the bird. I'm out there having fun and doing this stuff. I have more personality in my pinky finger than your whole goddamn generation.
I understand this so much. This is her being put into a situation when she was 19, when she had to button everything up. She got a year, maybe, that she was living in that apartment, everything like that. That's not enough.
No.
She is now finally off this royal leash, and she's like, rightfully so, it's time to fucking make up for some time. It's time to make up for time that I was unhappy. I'm going to fucking live this shit up. I look good. I'm a good mom. People like me. I still have good work to do. Let's go. And go she did.
Yeah, she finds herself a Pakistani heartthrob. He was a heart surgeon named Hasnat Khan.
Literally, heartthrob.
Oh, damn. I did one.
Hey, without even meaning to.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
I didn't look up any pictures of him. I'm about to. I'm assuming the look that Diana was pulling off now, Hasnat Khan is probably a pretty handsome man.
I have to imagine he's also a heart surgeon.
Yes.
A man that is literally saving lives.
Oh,
not great?
No.
Better than Charles?
Oh, you can make that judgment. She considered Hasnat like the love of her life. She thought that he hung the moon and stars. He was somebody who she was very fond of. And
what if he was just a functional human being that did good work?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm telling you right now, she's way out of his league, 100%. Yeah. Here's the thing. He has an awesome job. He's obviously very smart. He had to be much more normal than Charles.
Yep. That didn't take much.
And if he paid her any attention, he's already better than Charles.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just...
I still think at this point, too, I think you can look like she does and have the type of, like we said, aura that she does. And inside, you can still be self-conscious. And you can still not understand how awesome you are. And so, from a looks perspective... I think she was probably also in a position where she's like, I don't want to be worried about hooking up with someone or getting with someone just based on looks. I want someone that's actually going to fucking treat me decent. Maybe it showed her the value of that. And he did.
Yeah. In all respects, he sounds like he was a pretty awesome guy. And unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. There's a number of factors. Kind of the more obvious ones to me to maybe point out and talk about. They're never easy to talk about, but the royal family was definitely probably not pumped about the Princess Wales dating a Pakistani man.
Yeah.
There's really no way around it. The thought of the future King of England having a stepfather that was a Muslim man was not a good thought that the royal family had.
And you might be asking yourself, well, they're just dating. What are you doing jumping so far down the road for them to worry about this kind of stuff? Charles, with his non-charming ass, was able to get her to marry him in 9 months.
Yeah.
And has treated her like garbage for that time frame. And now this guy steps in and is actually nice to her. Yeah, it's probably not going to be hard to make her happy at this point.
Yeah. January 1997 in Angola, we had the minefield walk that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. We have a full recording image of Princess Di in a flak jacket and a helmet walking down this road in Angola that has taken so many lives of the people after, I believe it was their liberation war that they fought against another European, maybe Portuguese? I'm not sure. I don't want to hang that one on the Portuguese, but a colonial force that they were able to take their country back from. And as they got their country back, they had just these large swaths of land and farmland that have mines that are still active inside them.
And this obviously happened post World War II.
Yeah.
With the prevalence of the. We're going to have to look into that.
Yeah. It's such a scary thought, but she shows no fear. And again, she didn't just throw a rock in one direction and then walk through the field to get
She
the
had
rock.
people checking out, but still it's a risk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and not to mention, it's just the visual.
Yes.
It shows so much that she's not
People
scared.
are like, oh, did you know there's fucking mines in Angola? We need to do something about this.
And all the while she's strutting around in her red high heels and she's showing off and she's just living the life that she deserves, she's still grounding her boys. She's still trying to make sure that they're as normal as possible, because now they're spending half the time unsupervised by her with these robots back at Buckingham Palace.
There was certain things that she did that were kind of like just on the surface, kind of hard to see. When she would go and visit like kids, like children's hospitals and stuff, she would always wear like more brightly colored outfits. And she would also wear like chunky jewelry and everything, because little kids like to play with stuff when she was seeing kids and everything like that. And they like to see like bright colors. She loved Duran Duran. And when she was living in Kensington, she would like actually like skate through the house listening to Duran Duran. She did handwritten thank you notes. She'd done thousands of them after the birth of William. I mean, she had this thing, it was an eye level rule that anytime she either spoke to kids or she spoke to patients, she would always be down on eye level when she was speaking with them. And as like, as a parent, a lot of parents don't do that. And you don't realize how important that is, like, for a child to kind of like see you on their level and everything. So her just to be aware of that. She had a no gloves rule, because if you ever watch Queen Elizabeth, always gloves. Always gloves. If you ever watch like a lot of royals when they're wearing like their military, it's always gloves. So they're not actually touching people.
I'm going to give a pass on that though, because America's Queen Dolly Parton, I believe, wears gloves a lot too.
Dolly's exempt. Don't talk about that. But she would like, make sure that there was a human element to like her, like touching their hands or like shaking hands with them and everything.
Including AIDS patients. She just had a way about her. And to kind of find out thinking about her just skating around her house, it's so fun to think of a mother that's still that lively, and she probably feels like she's alive again.
And like, as like charitable stuff and everything, she realized how like the dresses that she would wear and everything, I think there was like 79 dresses that she auctioned off. She's like, yeah, just take all these, auction them off for like AIDS and cancer charities.
Yeah, just make some money for these causes in any way possible. Summer 1997, Diana accepts an invitation to summer with. She actually gets to take the boys at the request of a man named Mohammed Al-Fayed. And Al-Fayed was an Egyptian billionaire. He owned a bunch of department stores. I forgot exactly what he owned.
It wasn't Harrah's, was it?
I don't know.
And also the Ritz-Carlton in Paris, correct?
Yep. Yeah, so this guy was pretty well connected. Al-Fayed had a son, possibly a new love interest named Dodi. Dodi's an awesome name. I like the name Dodi. Don't really like Dodi as a person, but I do like the name. They spent most of the summer on the Al-Fayed yacht, just basically tooling around and having fun. Diana would end up sending the boys home to Charles, because I believe they had like an every other holiday type arrangement. She ends up staying with Al-Fayed. On the morning of August 30th, Diana and Dodi had flown into France. The whole idea behind this was they were flying into France. They were going to stay a night in France, and the next day they're going to be back in England. Diana's itching to see her boys again. She wants to get home, and she's pretty ready to be home. I don't know how true or not this is. I don't know if this was maybe punched up after the fact, but there were rumors that Diana had told her publicist to prepare for an announcement the next day. What that announcement is, we'll never get to know, or if this was just maybe a little bit of creativity on a publicist's part saying this. We really can't confirm it. That night, they were going to stay at the Fayed VIP apartment that the Ritz had. It was a pretty short distance away. It wasn't very far at all. And then they were going to return to London the next day. The dinner plans get hijacked pretty quickly because the paparazzi are just hanging outside the Ritz. They can't make it to the restaurant that they were scheduled to go to. So they just decided to remain at the Ritz and eat dinner. I can think of worse places to have to eat dinner in France than the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
As they're there, Ritz, I believe it was the deputy chief of security, his name was Henri Paul, wasn't working that night.
Fucking Henri.
Yeah. Wasn't working that night, was hanging out in the bar. There's a number of ways that this story I saw was told. He was just there hanging out. There's another version of this story that Doty had actually called him in because they were there and there was a large abundance of paparazzi. Either way, the fact that Henri Paul, being the deputy chief of security, was hanging out in the bar drinking is just pretty much a bad sign. It said that Doty kind of crafted this plan to deke the paparazzi. The plan was they had 3 town cars that were assigned to them, and they would send off 2 town cars outside the front of the hotel, and that would draw as much paparazzi away as possible. Then they would meet Henri around back. Henri had volunteered to drive them in this Mercedes S280, along with the bodyguard of Doty, Trevor Rees-Jones.
I thought that was Diana's bodyguard.
I'm pretty sure he was employed by Doty. I'm not positive, but I think he was. And the people that were in charge of the car service were like, Henri, you don't need to drive. We have drivers. We have somebody that can take them. You don't need to do it. Henri decides that he's going to be the man to take them. Again, rumors, scuttlebutt. This comes mostly, I think, out of conspiracy theory. Henri had been seen out the back of the hotel that they were going to leave, possibly meeting with people. Again, really just speculation. I don't know how far it goes. I just feel like it's kind of needed to be mentioned because there might be a...
He was Fayed's guy, yeah.
He was Fayed's guy?
Yeah.
Okay. But everything goes according to plan. 2 town cars end up leaving. Doty, Diana, and Trevor are met around back by Henri. Everybody loads into the Mercedes. Nobody puts a seatbelt on. They end up leaving from the rear entrance. It was a black 94, so a pretty nice
Top
little
of the line at the time.
4-door, yes. They end up leaving at about 12:20 a.m. on the 31st. They leave the hotel. They cross Place de la Concorde. They go along the Cours la Reine and the Cours Albert Lair. I don't know why I'm doing this. Nobody knows what in the hell I'm saying. They end up going along the right bank of the Seine River and into a place called into the Plaza de la Alma tunnel. Paul was doing twice the speed limit as he was being chased by this paparazzi group.
So there were 2 of them, I guess. When he pulled out, there were 2 paparazzi who hadn't bit on the deke and had followed them. There were also a couple on motorcycles and maybe a couple on scooters. So you have someone driving, people trying to take pictures, you have flashes going off and everything. So they're automatically being tailed. Henri is doing like 65, and the speed limit going through this tunnel is 30. And he'd been drinking.
Yeah. French limits don't make any sense to me because they're in the metric system, but they said that he was 2 to 3 times the legal limit.
Yeah.
He also had some antidepressants or something on board that maybe masked how drunk he was, because he was said that he didn't seem at all inebriated when he was hanging out at the bar. At 12:23, so 3 minutes after they left.
Prozac and something else.
Yeah, Prozac's gonna... I don't think you're supposed to mix that with alcohol.
Or driving.
3 minutes after they leave, 12:23, Paul reportedly lost control entering the tunnel. They end up striking a white Fiat Uno, swerve to the left, and they strike the 13th column head on. The S280 spins, and it hits the stone wall on the opposite side of the tunnel backwards. As soon as this happens, the paparazzi that followed them into the tunnel, everybody stops. They end up storming this crash. mark one down for the negative side of human nature. Some of them take this opportunity to take pictures of the wreckage.
Most of them don't.
Most of them don't. A lot of them end up coming to the aid of the wreck. There's a doctor and his friend that are driving the opposite way down the tunnel that are able to come over and kind of assess the situation and see what's going on. On impact, Dodie and Henri both pass away. Diana still showing signs of life. Trevor Reese is still breathing.
Despite the fucking engine being in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Like if you...
God damn.
This is... For her story, this is like, of course, it's not the last part of it in regards to her legacy or anything like that. But as a kid growing up, this is what it kind of got boiled down to, was this event and everything. And when you look at the car, you just look at it and you're like, how, first of all, did anybody survive that? And once those doctors pulled over and everything like that, they didn't take her out. They couldn't get her out of the car. She had to be cut out of the car. But when they got to her, she, from an outward perspective, had like a cut, like on her head and everything. I think she was unconscious, but she was breathing. And they were able to, I want to say she did become conscious at that point, right?
Yeah, she said, "Oh my God, oh my God."
Yeah, what's happened?
Yeah, she had no idea. Timeline becomes a little bit important here. The police end up arriving right around 12:30, so their response time not too bad, about 7 minutes. The ambulance is going to show up right around 12:35. Diana, as we were just talking about, is in and out. She's removed from the car right around 1 a.m., so we're talking another 25 minutes for removal from the car. As they remove her, she goes into cardiac arrest. Pretty bad situation, pretty bad timing to be going into cardiac arrest. Her heart was restarted. She was resuscitated using CPR. She's then moved to the ambulance around 1:18, so she spent about 18 minutes on the ground. Curiously enough,
the ambulance arrived at 12:35.
Yep.
So she's not even getting, and again, they have to do this stuff to stabilize her how they can. And apparently European or even just French specifically has different procedures with how they handle trauma patients and things like that, like where they perform the work and then when they transport them. Very different. I think American and England are pretty similar in how they do it.
They try to stabilize on the run and get them to a hospital as fast as possible, where the French almost tried to stabilize and treat before they left.
Before even getting them in to transport them to the hospital.
Yeah. So the ambulance doesn't leave until 1:41.
And what they're doing is they're calling into dispatch and they're saying, hey, we want to take her because there's a closer hospital. Then there's a hospital, and they're in a very centrally located place where even the closest hospital is less than 3 miles away.
Yeah.
But there's one that's 3 miles away that they feel has a better opportunity because apparently the trauma ward there is better.
Trauma hospital.
So they have to sit here, and I think they sit for 15 minutes trying to get the approval to actually do this instead of just saying, fuck it, we're going to this hospital.
You're really going to not approve this? Like, what are you doing?
3 miles to go. And they are driving insanely slow. It ends up taking them from the time that I believe the wreck happens to the time they get to the hospital is like 90 minutes.
Wreck ends up happening at 12:23. She doesn't get to the hospital until 2:06 a.m.
More than an hour and a half.
Yeah, dude, it's a lifetime. It's an absolute lifetime to wait. Once they get her there, they assess her. Her ribs and her arms are both, her ribs and I believe it was her right arm are both fractured. Her right collarbone's been dislocated. There's swelling and bruising of the brain. And it's just a fight at this point to try and resuscitate her. I mean, she gets there at 2:06. They begin working on her. They think that they get her stabilized. Then she ends up going back out. As they open her up and they're taking a look and seeing that she's bleeding internally, she has I didn't know this could happen. This is the stuff that'll now be something that haunts my mind. Her heart shifted to the right side of her chest. And as her heart shifted to the right side of her chest, it tore open the upper left pulmonary vein and the pericardium. And she just has this bleed in her heart that they think that they stitch up, but it's never good enough. Years later, they had a cardiologist take a look at the notes and the procedures that were done. And he said that in his entire career of practice, he doesn't think that he's ever seen a tear where this was.
This also comes now into the whole 90-minute plus that it takes. Now, I'm not saying that she should have been there instantly.
Yeah.
But when you have internal bleeding and you only have so much blood.
Not a lot. A shockingly small amount of blood. Like, I want to say it's like 6 pints of blood inside your entire body.
I guess a little goes a long way.
Yeah.
But
well,
the fact that if they could have got her there, and again, I'm playing armchair fucking heart surgeon here, but how much does that increase the chance of trying to save someone if you get them there half an hour earlier, 45 minutes earlier? They're when they're treating her and they're trying to stabilize her, they're doing for outward wounds and stuff that they can detect. The internal bleeding doesn't even get, that's like the very tail end thing that they're actually able to do testing on and discover. But again, I guess it's a process of elimination.
Yeah. And I don't know what you can do because they stitch up that pulmonary vein. They give her a blood transfusion, but in the end, no matter how fast you get her there, if that stitch isn't going to hold, that stitch just isn't going to hold.
I know.
Like, it's wishful thinking.
But maybe you're not in such a rush.
Yeah, absolutely.
What if it's not as like you're not, and trying to perform something where you're at a crisis point versus we're on to this side of a crisis point. We still have some time where we can pay a little bit more attention, or we can go a little slower.
Yeah, you have more idea to pivot.
Yeah.
You have more time to think, I guess, is really probably the best thing. She ends up being pronounced dead at 4 a.m. I don't remember if I said that, but it was news that when you hear the words "stop the presses," this is the reason that you stop the presses.
Yeah, they held off. Was it for how many hours before they reported it?
I think it was 6 a.m.
Okay, so to be able to notify the family and everything like that, they didn't release anything for 2 hours, which I know is like, well, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in regards to a person of this level of fame and everything, that's huge.
Yeah. So now we get to go down a road that I think we're pretty familiar with on this podcast. It's not a road that I really enjoy going down in cases like this. But
Conspiracy Junction, what's your function?
Yeah, we got to look at it. And kind of the main driver of a lot of this conspiracy talk makes sense to me. Mohammed Al-Fayed, the father of Dodi, really begins to question a lot of the official reports about the crash. He just lost his son. I mean, this guy has to be devastated. He claims that the crash
with unlimited means.
Yeah, and that's the other big issue in this whole thing is this man has billions of dollars that he can launch at this. He claims that the crash was orchestrated by MI6 at the behest of the royal family. Yeah, I mean, it's a theory.
Coming out firing.
He's hot on the trail of something, of what I'm not sure. Supposedly, there's a sworn statement by this guy named Richard Tomlinson. He's a former MI6 officer. He's a former MI6 officer that was jailed for sharing secrets that he wasn't allowed to share and kicked out of MI6.
Also part-time paparazzi, right?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some crime scene photos had slipped out of his grasp to some of the
unintentional paparazzi.
Yeah, maybe some unintentional money he came into. And he basically lays out that Paul and Reese were in contacts with MI6, that Paul was actually employed by MI6. Reese was a point of contact for MI6. He and MI6 being the...
So basically they're saying we had the deputy chief of security at the Ritz-Carlton as an MI6 asset. Plus we also had the bodyguard hired by Mohammed Al-Fayed as an MI6 asset as well.
Yeah, it's a lot. So much so that when he gets questioned about this later, he recants it. He says that he doesn't quite have the memory that he used to from the time when he was working for MI6. So it's been recanted. And I mean, just the leaps and the jumps that you just made in that simple sentence of Paul and Reese both being MI6 assets while working out of the country for a rich billionaire, and then is the deputy security chief at the Ritz in France.
Yeah.
It's not
God, that's a big payroll. You got a lot of people working for MI6.
You got to carry a lot of water to get there. French investigations found Paul and the trailing vehicles to be at fault for this crash. French investigation concluded in 1999, so they took 2 years on this. Operation Paget, conducted by Scotland Yard, lasted from 2004 to 2008, which seems incredibly long for this inquest. They found no assassination plot. Surprise, surprise, that the people that work for the royal family didn't find an assassination plot. They determined that Henri was under the influence of alcohol and prescription pills, as we talked about earlier. They put a lot of emphasis on the gross negligence of the paparazzi. After the crash happens, they poll pretty much all the paparazzi members that they could round up in, and they end up, I want to say they confiscated like 40 rolls of film, just making sure that this wasn't going to be something that got out to the press.
Not only that, but evidence.
Yeah.
Where you guys if you guys are snapping pictures, you're not just snapping pictures. When you get up, maybe you're snapping them from a little bit ways away and you see something that comes out. Because one of the things that, you have written up there to talk about is that Fiat.
Yeah.
So on the Mercedes and on the mirror, there had been like white paint, like you get from a side swipe or something. And so they were able to track the paint back and find out that it was for I can't remember the exact model, but
Fiat Uno.
Fiat Uno. So they were able to either look at like security footage or something like that, and they were able to identify, and it was out in front of the Mercedes. And as the Mercedes was approaching it, again, it doubled the speed. So this Fiat's going 30, Mercedes behind it's going 60. You see the Fiat start to swerve a little bit, which thinking and putting yourself, if you look in the mirror and you see a car coming up on you fast,
Panic.
You're going to get out of the way because you're assuming that car's not getting out of the way.
Yeah.
And so as it swerves, if Henri is like, well, I'm going around it, and it goes in that same direction, he ends up sideswiping it, putting the car out of control, and that's what leads to it hitting that 13th column. The Fiat's never located.
Yeah. All this stuff that they find, seatbelt contributor, car had not been tampered with, they'd said. They released an 832-page report that was published in 2006. The jury verdict comes in 2008. Throughout this whole entire thing, they just failed to explain the role that the Fiat played and who the Fiat owner was. Now, I'm not saying that because I believe that the Fiat was what caused the crash and they were members of the royal family that were doing this shit or anything like that. But when you leave a loose end that big untied, it just is stink bait for conspiracy theorists.
That's a cow pie put in the dark to let mushrooms grow, man.
Yeah, everything is going to point back to that and say, well, why didn't you do that? How thorough was this investigation if you didn't find the vehicle that was the last thing that connected before they hit the pole?
And chances are, it's what Occam's razor, the most common, logical thing is usually the truth. If you're the person driving that and this car comes, it sideswipes you, it goes out of control, crashes in 60 miles an hour into this column, going 60 to 0 instantly, I feel like you're going to panic. Mm-hmm. And if you panic and you're like, I got to get the fuck out of here, and you end up getting home, and then you turn on the news to find out maybe if there's something about that accident that happened, and you find out that Princess Diana was in that car, I feel like all you're thinking in your head is, oh my God, did I swerve in the way of... Because again, this isn't where the stuff about him being drunk is out. That's stuff that's found during the investigation. So all that comes out is car accident in this tunnel, Princess Diana, nothing about a Fiat. Again, there hasn't been any investigation. So you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, was she trying to get away from something and I swerved and I ended up causing... That's what I would feel.
Yeah.
And if that's what you're feeling and you think that you're about to take the responsibility, no shit that you fucking keep your mouth quiet. You keep your mouth shut and you stay quiet about it.
Yeah, it could be that. There's a possibility that this could be a call ahead from one of the paparazzi that was tailing. Really anything along those lines, but the fact that it's never really been proven means that it can't really be a strike against it, because you can't look at it and be like, there was somebody in that car. Okay,
Yes.
prove it.
Exactly.
Tell me how you know.
And here's the thing, too. You could come out and say, once this investigation was done, say, this is 100% on Henri for being drunk, for having pills in his system. The paparazzi were chasing, it was, driving out of control. Regardless of that, if you were that guy before all of this information came out and it was you that got put out there and said, this was the driver of the car, even if they said, we're confident that this isn't what caused it, the amount of vitriol that you would get for being even tiny contributor in the scope of everything else that contributed to this, to the death of literally the most popular woman and loved woman in the world, your fucking life's over.
Not to mention you're a Frenchman that just killed the Princess of Wales. That could start another war.
Which it would.
There's a chance.
That's terrifying, though.
Yeah. Well, to go along with all that, you have Al Fayed pushing this ring conspiracy that Dodi had actually purchased a ring for Diana because they were getting married, and that they had to take it into the ring sizer, whoever made the ring, to get it fitted for Diana. And then that day they had flown into France. He had gone to that same store there, and they had the alterations done to it. They look into this. They see that Dodi Fayed does go inside this ring store, but he's in there for about 30 seconds and he walks out.
Yeah.
So there's no way he's going to get a ring at that point in time. The ring conspiracy gets blown out of the water.
What's your biggest ring? We have this one. Not big enough.
Yeah. There's no way that it can happen, but it's things that Al Fayed keeps holding on to. That was supposedly the announcement that could have happened from the publicist. There were also rumors that he had spread that she was pregnant, and that Dodi and Diana had come and admitted to him that she was pregnant. Math on that's not really great because they didn't hang out for long enough, I think, to really figure these things out.
Yeah.
Also, they had gone in through the inquest, and this might be a nothing thing too.
This is a guy with so much money and nobody around him to tell him no, because he's not going to surround himself. So when he's going after all of this stuff, he's just trying to find anything he can grasp onto to try to get some sense of justice for his kid.
He's got a hammer, nails, and about 15 Jell-O molds.
Yeah.
And he's trying to stack them all onto the wall and nothing's sticking. His pregnancy rumors that he brings up, I guess during the inquest, they had asked about checking her
See if her blood.
Yeah,
You could tell.
to see if she was pregnant. She'd been embalmed like less than 24 hours after they had pronounced her dead. And apparently embalming fluid somehow covers that up. Again, I'm not saying that this is 100% true. These are just what conspiracy theorists are pushing
But
out
when
there.
you have somebody who there's this much media attention on it, and you have this person throwing out all of this and somehow making it, because they have an army of lawyers, sound feasible or possible. There's conspiracies that fucking have no basis, and then it just gets made up by one person and spreads. You have it this front and center. That's, again, why this stuff there's so much of it.
Yeah. And not to mention, he's hucking grenades at somebody who believes the royal family put MI6 up to doing this. So he's doing everything he can to try to legitimize this. He's already come out and said, yeah, the royal family's not going to be cool if Princess of Wales is pregnant with a brown baby.
Yeah.
Or marrying into the family, just the same whole thing that was going on in the heart surgeon. But there's just nothing to it. The last thing that I'm going to bring up in a conspiracy is something that I feel like I kind of latched on as to my conspiracy here. So when Henri Paul was found, his body, or in one of his pockets, he had something like between 12 to 1,500 pounds on him.
It's like 3,000.
Was it?
Yeah.
An insane amount of pocket money that somebody would have on them. They checked into his bank statements and his bank accounts. He had multiple bank accounts. He had a lot more money than somebody that makes, I believe they said it was about 30,000
He had like
pounds a year.
$400,000 in bank accounts, separate ones.
Yeah, a lot of money that is kind of unaccounted for. Now, my sling to this conspiracy theory is it was said multiple times that Henri Paul had left the bar and gone out back a few times. Who's to say that Henri Paul wasn't meeting up with those paparazzi that chased and maybe greasing some palms?
Yeah, so I don't think your conspiracy is far-fetched, and I don't really think it's a conspiracy in the sense of the death of Princess Diana. I think what you're saying is pretty reasonable to say this guy was making $35,000 a year. Probably ain't the first time that this guy had someone famous in the hotel.
Yeah.
And at one point, a paparazzi came up and said, hey, if you just let us know where they're coming out, we'll slip you a little something. And all of a sudden that becomes a habit. It's not a big deal. Nothing bad has ever happened. And so for him, he's got the great white whale here. Everyone wants a picture of this. It's too much for him to pass out. He's not even there working that night or anything. All he does is, like you said, he goes out back and he's like, I'm not going to tell all of them, but whoever wants to offer me the most amount of money, maybe I'll give him some information. He gets 3 large, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm going to tell you guys, you follow us when we go. The other guys can go ahead and follow the other cars. I'm not telling them. Yeah. Even by him doing that, that's a contributing factor.
Absolutely.
And why he's also saying, I'm justified to drive 60 miles an hour, 65 miles an hour through this tunnel because I'm trying to get away from these guys that I just got paid from to try to get pictures of you guys.
I'm going to make it look good. I'm going to play it up. There's a chance that maybe he realized how drunk he was and it turned into a bit of a game trying to get away from the guys that just paid him money to do this. Is really, it's the only kind of logical explanation that I can take my mind to be like, this has to be what happens.
So regardless of however you want to slice it, it's like all Henri.
Yeah. And as much as I'd like to
all on Henri
pin the royal family with something here, there's just nothing there.
Yeah.
Now, we have to get to the point of talking about the royal family's reaction to this does not match a human reaction to much.
They're not human.
No, Charles is said to be
the kids do.
Huh?
The kids' reaction is what you can imagine, but yeah, the royal family is just like computation. What? This usually only happens to us like in sword fights.
Yeah, nobody died in
or
a duel.
Duels.
They kind of have to basically coax Queen Elizabeth to make a statement about it. Charles is said to be pretty broken up about it. I'm sure he was. I don't want to hang a whole lot on him. If anything, if I want to give him some semblance of emotions, I have to hope he was at least sad for his kids.
I think it did really impact him, and I think that's the funnel in which it did impact him, is that this is somebody that has to also, I mean, if you got any level of human emotion, you have to feel some guilt for this. Because guess what? When you boil it all down and you go back to the beginning, you're a 32-year-old guy marrying a 19-year-old who you know for a fact will not say no to you based upon your position. And at some point, I feel like you have to have some semblance of guilt about that and putting a person in that position. And then looking also at his kids and realizing what they've lost and maybe feeling like, had I held this family together, this wouldn't have happened. I think that regardless if they're divorced or whatever, I think that that's a very, for a normal person, a reasonable emotion or way to feel. Now, to what degree Charles felt that, I don't know.
Well, at the very least, he has to look at how broken up his kids are and realize that they're never going to have that back.
And that he contributed to that.
Yeah.
In whatever way.
September 6th, 1997, we're going to get back into some numbers that I just can't quite contemplate. Diana's funerals at Westminster Abbey, it drew an estimated 3 million mourners to London. There were 31.5 million viewers in Britain alone. An estimate, I don't even know how you estimate this. It's estimated that almost 2.5 billion people around the world watched the broadcast.
That's got to be, at that time, that's got to be more than 50%, right? I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, I would say at least a third. Definitely a third. It was broadcast around the world in 44 different languages. That's how important this was. Diana was buried on an island in the pleasure garden of Althorpe Manor. I'm 50-50 on this because I feel like it was finally a place where there was peace and quiet, and she couldn't be gotten to by the media or anybody else.
It was over a third of the world watched.
God damn, dude, that's nuts. But at the same time, I don't think that Althorpe Manor meant a whole lot to Diana.
No.
I don't think that would be a place where her happiest memories were. But there again, where are you going to bury her with the happiest memories that she had?
You're also, one of the contributing factors they said too was how in the future access will be for like the kids and everything. And it had to be someplace that was controllable, where at any point they could go and have quiet moments with her and everything.
Yeah. 2005, Charles ends up marrying Camilla. Finally makes an honest man out of him. I don't really feel like banging on them too much anymore. I'd like to, but...
Do you feel like Charles was like, I'm old enough at this point that fuck it, who cares? And then at the same time, Queen Elizabeth was just like, yeah, I mean, you're getting old and everything. William's up next. Fuck it. Yeah, just do it. How long? I plan on outliving you anyway. So then it'll just go straight down to, I've seen how you eat. It'll just go straight to William. Yeah, have at it. Yeah, Camilla will be the death of you.
On the off chance that this happens, you do need a queen. We can't have a single king.
So they said approximately 42% of the world's population is estimated to have watched her funeral.
I wish that I had those memories. Like you were talking about, I have pretty vivid memories of the shots inside the tunnel. I wish I had more of the funeral just because it sounds like an event that just doesn't happen.
Harry and William and Charles walk behind the carriage, and then the shot of the flowers on top of it with the card that Harry had written that said mummy on it. I'm not going to lie. I made the mistake of watching it at work. Almost broke down crying in front of all my coworkers. I had to hold my shit together.
2 out of the last 3 weeks, man. I shed some tears over the Miracle on Ice. This one got me too.
For opposite reasons.
Yeah, very much opposite reasons. The continuation of her life comes with William and Harry. In 2011, William ends up marrying Catherine Middleton. I will admit, when I saw that he married Catherine, I was super confused because I always shorten Catherine to Kathy and Caitlin to Kate.
Mm-hmm. But Kate isn't always Catherine. It's Katie, Caitlin.
Yeah. So confusing for about 30 seconds before I finally put it back together. They end up having 3 kids: Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis. I did a little research. It sounds like Kate's cancer is in remission. She is doing a lot better, which is awesome to hear. I feel so bad knowing that there was like a 3-week stretch where the people of the world were asking if Kate was still alive and if she got some bad plastic surgery and all this, and it comes out that it's a cancer diagnosis. There's a lot of badness of the human population in this.
Yeah, and this is the other thing too that we're talking about. We talked about it earlier in the week. If you're William, you saw what this kind of did to your mom. You obviously have taken that to heart because guess what? You didn't marry within that same type of thing. You married someone who was more of a normal person, even more so than your mom as far as like standing in society goes.
Yeah.
And when you finally get into that role and you look at how your mom, her big thing was to keep you out of that life or to try to kind of normalize it. And you look at your kids and you're like, fuck, I'm going to be king. I'm not even going to have a chance to get them kind of away from this life because of what my role is going to be. I mean, do you just go in there and you say, okay, had my coronation, I'm king, just letting you guys know we're done with the king shit. I want to go and I just want to have a life with my family. I don't need this. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I would hope that in a, perfect scenario, that's what would be the case. But like you said, I think the longer you're in that, the more the firm gets its hold into you with the duty and, the incentives and all of that stuff that go along with it, that it would be very, very hard to walk away from that.
Yeah, and
But why not, though? You have more money than you're ever going to spend. You'll still be famous, but guess what? This is a position in which you're famous even when you don't want to be. When your wife gets sick, or what happens when one of your kids gets sick? Like, it's not fucking worth it. And I guess that's just an outsider's perspective.
It is. I think you also have to remember the weight on William's shoulders of a 1,000-year English tradition.
Yeah, I get that, but be the one.
A millennium of history
I
is sitting on
understand
your
that, but guess
shoulders.
what? Be the one that says fuck it. Harry did. Harry was like, and what if that's part of the whole thing? Is that Harry was just like, all right, man, like I'm getting away from this. He's like, motherfucker. He's like, you need to stay around long enough because I was planning on quitting and you were going to have to be king. He's like, no way, man. Fucking give it up.
Well, and that's the shitty thing about it is if William were to abdicate or not take it, it just goes to his son. He's just basically lumping that on his children. It's almost like maybe he's launched or latched on to being a future king.
There's not a way to get out.
And protect his children.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very fine line to leave. I believe that William, unfortunately, is playing more ball based upon him and Prince Harry's relationship, because Prince Harry does end up marrying Meghan Markle. This is something that I'm sure, even if you didn't know the rest of the Lady Di story, you know this story pretty well. He marries Meghan Markle in 2018. They have Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Kind of a cool little callback.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of something there, which tells me that if they're going to use Queen Elizabeth's name like that.
But it was the name that his mom used.
Yeah. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. But Meghan Markle, I don't understand the royal shit, so maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Maybe there's stuff that I'm missing. I don't know why you could hate Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for just trying to live a normal life. I don't know how you can look at Meghan Markle and say, well, when she talks about how she feels like an outsider, she voices a lot of the loneliness that Princess Di talked about trying to be in the family. How do you not look at that and blame her for you can't blame Meghan Markle for this.
It's the people that are telling them how they need to act and what they need to do are the people that did not grow up and did not have to live the majority of their lives under the microscope that all the future generations are going to have to. They're speaking from a place that they have no fucking business speaking from, because guess what? No person prior to Princess Diana, if you want to boil it down, the royal family never had that much media attention. And after Princess Di, and I'm not saying that she asked for it, it came as a byproduct of her being the person that she was, being fucking awesome. There's now not going to be ever a situation where these people are not going to be followed around. And it's the age of fucking media, man. Everyone's got a camera.
And an opinion, unfortunately.
And the people that are telling, possibly Harry or William and being like, you guys are just going to have to do this shit. It's part of your duty. It's like, it's a different beast. This isn't what you guys had to deal with, so shut up.
Harry has the escape. Harry had the ability. He doesn't have the weight of the whole entire family that William does on his shoulders. He's the spare. Mm-hmm. In being the spare, you have this weird life of having to live in a way that's respected by the firm, but also you're never going to reap the benefits of living your life in that way.
Buddy, I would want to be the spare every day of the week.
You would, but you're still under a pretty heavy microscope.
No, you are. But there's not as much for him. Like, what if William tried to pull away the same way Harry did? Not that
he can't.
I understand that. Harry was able to because of Harry's position.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The second affords you at least a shot at a normal life.
It does. It also comes with its criticism of walking away, which, again, feels unfounded to me. Prince Harry seems like a fairly interesting fella to me. I feel like he would be a pretty fun time, pretty cool hang. I don't want to hang out with him on Halloween because I don't want to get caught in any
compromising situations.
Yeah. I don't want to be hanging out with any costumes that I have to explain later, but
his grandfather did personally help put an end to that thing. I don't know. Probably still not smart.
No. January 2020, Harry and Meghan do step back from the royal family, and they end up moving to Southern California. They start their own production company, I don't know if they were fully disinherited or they gave away their titles, but I believe they walked away from the royal stipend that they were given. They did get a settlement out of Princess Di's will. It was a number of millions, which, again, you're moving to Southern California, you're trying to restart, you don't have any security that's coming with you because that's not afforded to you. Because you walked away from the royal family.
You're free.
Yeah, but you're also going to still need protection.
I know, but it's got to be worth it.
I hope so. Again, my stake in these people is so low that I can really only just hope for the best in saying that I hope when William becomes king, which, God damn it, better be soon, that Harry's kind of welcome back. I know that William and Harry don't seem to be talking right now because Harry said a number of things that didn't make the royal family look good. I have to think that William understands that on the level of being Princess Di's son to a certain extent.
I think part of it, too, is, again, there's not a lot here outside of Diana to care about, but the simple fact that she didn't get to continue with a happy life, you kind of feel like you want the kids to live and do that for her. And so it makes you a little bit more invested to say, like, I hope that, they're happier than their mom was.
Yeah. And really this whole entire thing, and to look into the conspiracy theories and to try to dissect what happened, why Henri Paul was the man to point the finger at for this, it really just comes down to something that we both kind of shared before getting ready. Is it's like you're looking for a reason to explain why a bad thing happens to a good person.
Yeah.
Like, it's so tough to be able to accept that bad things just happen to good people all the time.
That's the horse shit fucking answer. That's as bad as, God only gives his toughest test to his greatest warriors. It's like, no, he doesn't need to fucking test you. Why is he testing you?
It's a pretty depressing life to just realize that bad stuff's going to happen.
You want to try to make sense of it, of get a reason behind it other than just it was a fucking horrible accident.
I do wonder what the royal family would look like today if she was still alive. I have to think they would be in a better place than they are now.
Wouldn't be hard.
The investigations would still be going on, but yeah.
Oh, and Diana knew that Andrew was a creep. When she was alive, she told William, she's like, stay away from that guy. I don't like that guy. I don't like what he's about.
So in all of the lists of the great qualities that Princess Di had, apparently she was clairvoyant too.
Mm-hmm. Excellent judge of character. But an incredible woman. Smart, funny, beautiful. She's hilarious. Watch her during some of her interviews and everything like that. She's cheeky and everything, but she knows she's self-deprecating. She knows how to diffuse a situation. Stylish as all hell.
Outside of our norm, I would say, but I feel like it's a good step outside of the normal stuff that we do. I believe this is the first all-female episode besides the other one that we did.
Oh, yeah, with like Dolly and Babe Deirdre Sin or whatever.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else?
No, I think this was a good topic to do.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. You learned a little bit more about what an awesome woman Princess Diana was, and I guess we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for another episode. If you like what you heard, hit that subscribe and like button. Follow us. If you didn't like what you heard, still hit that anyway, because we'll probably cover something in the future that you do like. Please follow us on our social media. Adam, hit them with it.
Our Instagram is historically high pod, historically high pod, and we are on Twitter at historically high. That's historically HI.
All right. And if you guys want to send in any feedback, suggestions, hit us up on those two, or you can even do it on Gmail. It's historicallyhighpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again.
Peace.